Futures back in negative territory here to start things off on a Wednesday after another strong performance to end the session yesterday. We saw all three U.S. markets back in positive territory. If you can believe it, the S&P 500 is now only 5% away from its all-time high once again. So pretty impressive rally back from the lows. Markets continue to monitor the latest developments out of Ukraine as well, with some headlines coming across this morning. A little more concerning, but overall, the market holding up fairly nicely at this point, still in negative territory. As I mentioned, yeah, pretty impressive move. Both the S&P and the NASDAQ led the way yesterday. The Dow also in positive territory, but the S&P just 5% off all-time highs once again after the doom and gloom that we saw over the past couple of months. Economic data this morning. We'll get new home sales coming up at 10 a.m. Some of the home builders typically move on that. Meme stocks back on watch. Huge move yesterday for GameStop led the way. AMC followed suit, and then all of the rest of them jumped in the party as well. I mean, costs, BlackBerry, all back on watch again this morning. Even that EXPR had a bit of a move late in the day. Adobe reported. We'll talk about their earnings. Great report. Numbers were solid. The forecast, however, a little bit shy of expectations. It's Wednesday, March 23rd. 2022, tradertv.live starts now. We're going to look at how things stand at the moment. As I mentioned, back in negative territory, but only just 0.7 there for the NASDAQ, 0.3 for the Dow. S&P about 0.5% at this point. The TSX futures here in Toronto pointing to a bit of a red start as well, with energy and mining stocks on watch again today. Bitcoin and Ethereum back in negative territory. But yeah, another move to the high side for crude oil as we continue to get more Ukraine headlines, Russia headlines as well. Supply concerns continue to drive that market. Arun is in the building. Sean off for the next few days for a much-needed vacation. We wish him well. Always good to have Arun with us. Yeah, just watching some more Ukraine headlines coming across right now, guys. We'll keep an eye on things at the moment, though. The market back to the downside, but pretty impressively strong yesterday.
I'd say impressively strong is quite possibly a gigantic understatement. So I know there's some issues with YouTube. If you experience like any kind of like the stream cuts out or any issues, just make sure you hit that refresh. It looks like there's been some issues with YouTube, some funny stuff going on with the likes. Who knows? I actually think what really happened is that Sean broke the universe yesterday when he pulled off that shot. And I'll find it for you guys. We'll show it a little bit later when things settle down. But yeah, I was telling Arun about like the throw of the bull, which was bear to bull, back to bear, back to bull, right through those two monitors, and then stuck. So that's now where if you're wondering where the Brahma bull is, that's where it is. It's like just sitting in between there. So the breaking of the universe happened when that occurred. The wild market is insane, right? If you had told me that we would be facing like yield inversion 10-year at over 2.25 by a lot, the first rate hike would come in, and GameStop will have almost doubled in a week, I probably would have told you, yeah, you're on absolute crack. Like, get off that good. But this is where we're at. GameStop just made a move back into the downside. Tesla approached 1,000. It's going to be an exciting day for us, Ruben, because there's just no shortage of volatility.
Yeah, no shortage of volatility. The thing is, the futures have moved up so much in such few days, that at some point we got to make a move. Not to say the downside, but I'm just saying the downside is wide open. We could easily do what we did on Fed Day, which was shoot down a big chunk and then reverse completely. So that kind of option is still on the table. The levels are so far down that there's a lot of space to the downside that allows us to pick up some good value bids if it were to come to the downside. So I think that's what we're looking for now. At this point, with the market having spread the levels out, there's a lot of options on the table for potential trades on both sides. So that's what we got to look for now.
CELZ popping up. Creative Medical Technology, top and bottom line results for one of their drug studies just coming through there on the positive side. So watch out for CELZ is the ticker on the NASDAQ, guys. So many different storylines to get through. We'll jump into a few of them right now. Before we do, though, let's bring in Miss V, good morning.
Good morning, team. Happy trading to you all. I wish you a wonderful, profitable day. Please make sure you like this video and refresh this video as YouTube has some issues today. And let's get it started, Brandon.
Yeah, let's jump into a few things you need to know heading towards the open this morning. Under an hour to go. It felt like when Neil and I got here this morning, I said to him, it felt like 2020 all over again yesterday, and it kind of feels like 2020 again today, in the sense that GameStop and all the meme stocks were back in play yesterday in a big way. Huge move for GME. We talked about it coming off earnings, you know, that this had the potential at least to happen once again. And then we get this headline, Ryan Cohen doubling down, I guess, on purchasing another 100,000 shares of GME, which seemed to trigger that move that we saw yesterday. But all of them then jump in on the party, guys.
Yeah, and look, I don't know that even calling it a move is just, it feels so unimpressive. Like the 100 breakout that happened a little bit later on in the afternoon, you can see, like sometimes these things set up, but if it's not on your radar, you don't set an alert, you're going to miss out on it. And once it got going, there was simply no stopping. And that 125 is just pretty much a psychological sort of barrier. It was a 100 break into 125. That makes a little bit of sense. And I came in thinking about, okay, well, yeah, another gap up like this, 150, obvious sort of thing. Ryan Cohen, you know, bless his heart. I mean, maybe it started something, but I also feel that a lot of this had been brewing. Like for names that had been beaten up this badly, when you had these bottom consolidations, you throw in the short interest, a lot of these things have been trying to explode. And you've actually broken past a key level, which we're about to bounce off right now, or at least attempting to bounce off right now. This daily on the daily chart, which is about 130, 133. So that's a key metric to come back in. If it can get through that price, there's probably some downside to 125. But I'm thinking 150, 125, those key levels on GameStop. And I know I went over to costs, and when one goes, you know, they have a tendency to just sort of drag the historical ones. And there's nothing, cost has nothing to do with GameStop other than when the squeezes were going on, it was the same list of names that would all go. And that's why I decided to short cost yesterday, thinking it was not the lead dog, and there was that nice pullback off 950. It's really come off a ton here. It had gapped up the same as GameStop. GameStop was up 13% at the top this pre-market. Cost was up 13% as well, but when it fell, it's now down to up 4%. You can see pulling all the way back over to yesterday, almost close to yesterday's top, where GameStop is still well above that 125 level. So relative weakness, and that means if there is another squeeze up, you might see me try costs short instead of GameStop short. It doesn't mean I wouldn't short GameStop. It's just sometimes the lower hanging fruit is that sympathy name.
Yeah, for me, if we can get the charts up here, you can show my screen. You know, for GME, like let's just go back to what Neil was talking about here. This is the level that he's talking about. This is the daily. Obviously, we've run overnight into the 148s and now dipping into the 134-ish area. This is kind of the region you got to watch out for, right? If we can get a bounce through here, then you get the extension. If you are just going to fall back down, then you're going to probably get a reversal through that 125. I think at this point, you got to wait for the open and see what it does. I know a lot of people want it to bounce off of this level, but at the same time, as traders, what are we going to do? Are we going to actually fall down to this level, or are we going to bounce off? If we bounce up, long is on. If we fall through, short is on. That's just the binary choice at this point, given where we're sitting, and that's all we're going to look at here. At least that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put off some alerts, see if we can't get that alert to go off, and when that does, we'll just take the trade then.
We'll keep an eye on all of these here in the pre-market as well, see if we get any indications as to what this day will shape up to be. The other major story, or one of the other major stories, I guess, this morning to consider, guys, is going to be oil. Once again, so strong here in early trading. I mean, the headline yesterday was, or I guess it was Monday, came out of the EU suggesting they could follow suit and ban Russian imports of oil. That sent crude higher. Yesterday was kind of a choppy session, bit of digestion going on, but oil stocks to the upside today, along with West Texas Intermediate.
Yeah, and look, we're on the K contract now, so I'll sort of start off by showing you just how strong it's been. It's been a nice churn. I'm going to show you the 1 minute, nice churn back into the upside, and but context matters, right? Like we're still in this. I don't want to call it chop or head and I said head and shoulders last time, so I guess I should just say the same thing. And that's sort of what you're looking at. Like, you made that big top, we pulled all the way back into the 50 period and just ran away from it. Like, that's, something's bullish. You see it run away from something like that the way that it did, and we're back into this 110 to 114, 15-ish top range. And as long as that's the case, where we're in here, I want to play the relative strength of Occidental, because that's been the gold standard for momentum. And I'm doing the same thing as I did the other day. Like, you can see, I'm sort of already on the bid at 60. I was able to get like a bit of a position in front of 60, and then 59 was the bigger level. But I see this as just a clear upward trend. Like, if you could draw a trend line, I don't really do it very often, but if you were drawing one, it would be so clean on Oxy just day after day. And so playing off those dip buys, if you don't like the breaks, you've been playing the dips. And at this point, it's a little bit higher up. I know we liked 59 a lot yesterday. If we got to 59, that's a level to defend. But if it comes anywhere down into that 60 level off the open, I want to pick some up. And I don't want to miss the trade. So I want to get some in front of it. If it consolidates, I'd be adding to that position. And then you're just looking to be able to capture that play into 62. Like, the breakout that happened the other day was spectacular. I think the next time we see a break like that is when it gets through that recent high at 62.5. Otherwise, I just want to play the dips as long as we have not broken down below 110 on that oil futures contract. Then I think I'm okay for the dip buy in Occidental, and all the better if we can ever take out that 115.
Yeah, well, let's just take a quick look at that oil futures contract. What are we doing all day? Pretty much since this morning, trend, right? Since we established that 110, we are trending up strong too. There's a lot of, I'm not sure why the consolidated chart is not showing the previous data, but anyways, here we are moving up through 112 and change. If you ignore this, and this is the trend, you just look at the essential, just the chart for this contract for this day specifically, this is what you've got. You've got that 111 to 110 area that Neil's talking about. You've got a strong trend. And at this point, the way the trend's moving, it can easily come down to 110, bounce, and keep going. And that's a $2.50 drop, right? And that is still a strong up move at that point. So at this, I would just wait for this to actually fall out. If it's going to fall out, at this point, the risk is too high to take a shot on the contract here. But if we were to get into that 111.50 going on down against that 110, I think it's a worthwhile shot, as long as you can get the setup at that point to actually get that little bounce and then see if we can go back towards the highs. But for now, this is just moving up way too quickly. Crude's up 3% at the moment. So as long as we can actually come down, then we have a chance to get along. If we can't, if we're just going to continue the trend, let it be and see if we can't find something else.
All right, a couple things to note on the earnings side of things. We're going to touch on Adobe coming up, obviously the big one that reported. General Mills, though, we mentioned at the end of the day yesterday, if you were with us in the afternoon, GIS reported. It was actually a decent report in the aftermarket yesterday, but we're up here just holding below 65, which was a pretty key level on the daily chart, up 3%. Pretty good forecast, but the report itself, in line with expectations.
GIS, General Mills. Okay.
You got this. I just got into Sell Z very quickly. Sell Z made a double top at $3. It just made a couple of wick breaks here. So when it made the second consolidation, it just got in at 90s. Going to give it to the high of the day. If it breaks out from here, 350 is the next level. But the second time through, decided to take the short. I'll let you go to General Mills. Just wanted to get that position on.
There you go. First position of the day for us here. Neil coming through with Sell Z. And this is what GIS is doing. A nice little bounce off that 62. Now we're sitting around 64.50, but keep in mind, we still got resistance on General Mills all the way up until about 67. So would I go for the long at this price? No, but if we fell a little bit further down back towards that 63.5, it's worth a shot to see if we can't get a bounce off that little, what is that, from March the 11th till about the 22nd yesterday. We kind of got that little consolidation, micro consolidation, whatever you want to call it, at the top end of that range. If we can use that to bounce the trade back towards that 67, that's worthwhile risk. But at this point, 64.5, not worth it with 67 acting as resistance.
Neil, you want to touch on that?
Yeah, so I actually really like General Mills overall for a play. But the one thing I would concern, it's not a concern, I suppose, but it's one thing I would caution with, if my daily chart will load up here, is that if you're having a rotation back into back into risk, which has been the bounce that we've had. There might be this counter trend that happens with some of your cyclical type names. So that's good if we continue this downward trend overall. Like you see the NASDAQ pulling back that 1%. That's good for General Mills. And I think holding the line and any dip down to like 63.5 makes some sense to that break. But if we make a bottom and do a rip your face off rally in the NASDAQ and some of the risk names, again, I would tend to think that something like General Mills might run into a little bit of trouble holding up its steam. So that'd be the only thing I would really add there. I mean, clearly, I like the break it's had. We talked about liking this over Kellogg's because my wife hates Kellogg's, but that doesn't really matter that much. Overall, it's a good name. If we're going to be bringing out the R word, this is going to be the type of stock that I think can still work.
All right, a few other things here. Skills, another one that has given us huge moves in the past to the upside, relatively low float. They came out this morning announcing a new deal with the UFC for streaming, multi-year deal for Skills on that. Also want to mention AMC here. Let's jump back to the meme group here quickly. That's the UFC deal there for SKLZ, but HYMC, if you remember, is AMC's gold mine, literally. HYMC also catching a bit of a bid here, guys, on this rally.
Yeah, gold seats coming to a theater near you. Me and Sean were talking about that last week. What are they going to do? Put up gold seats, gold-plated seats, or something?
Oh man!
At this point, but to be real, let's kind of look at AMC from the daily perspective. This is a 1440 chart. This is technically 24 hours, but our daily chart doesn't actually show the overnight session, as most daily charts actually don't. So I just decided to put the 24-hour chart up and see what it looks like, because I want to see what the overnight did. And looks like we're hitting that 20 resistance level and bouncing back down. And given that we just took the 19s, I am very, very tempted to take a shot on the short side here, because look at where we are, right? Top end of the range, already showing sell side activity at the range. At this point, risk reward says take the shot, because even if it breaks, at that point, the multi-month consolidation would be broken, right? So at what point do you not take a shot on the short side? So I'm gonna go ahead and actually look for some shorts here on AMC. Yes, I'm gonna get run over. If that's the case, then let me run me over and then break this multi-month and go to the upside. Force my hand at that point. I'd rather have that done than not take the shot with the risk reward the way it looks. So that's what I'm going to go ahead and do, and take a shot on the AMC on the short side and see what we get. Maybe it turns around, but that's a risk worth taking at this point.
Yeah, and like that's sort of the thing. Like sometimes the setup is what you're looking for, and if it gets above a certain price, you can start talking about the breakout. Now HYMC, I'll just very quickly, because it's barcoding and really not doing a heck of a lot today. So I don't know if there's going to be much of a trade here, but if it were to break out, there's a kind of immediate overhead resistance. Like you start looking at the 160 and this 170 area here. So I'd caution, if you're trading this name in particular, you might see, pre-market high 150, tight consolidation, looks like it's breaking back out. I think it runs almost immediately into overhead resistance, and that 160 and 170 level could run into some trouble for HYMC. The volume is really, it's on 4 million shares worth of volume. Yet, like, this is what it looks like. A lot of that was just an overnight, just some big dark pool dumps, right, of overnight trades. So maybe a bit of a nothing burger. AMC, GME, cost, I think that's where you want to be. GME and cost is where I'm at, so I'm glad you're looking at AMC around.
Talking about yesterday, over the past couple of days, in fact, was the cybersecurity names that popped back up on that note from the White House at the beginning of the week, suggesting that these companies should revisit some of their products and make sure they're beefed up and up to date. OKTA out with a little more details here on, we mentioned that data breach they suffered yesterday. It looks like 366 customers only potentially hit by the hack. So we saw CrowdStrike with a monster day yesterday. CRWD right back to 220 at the end of the day. Comes off a little bit. We're lower this morning, guys, pretty uneventful. But CYRN was that smaller, low float type of cybersecurity play that was also on watch.
I remember like a couple of days ago, well, not just a couple of days ago, but maybe a week ago, CYRN had its bigger run, and then a couple of days ago, it had this spike into $10. You can sort of see we had to take it twice up there. There was a fail break at $10. We got back in the second time. And so if there's another run, I just look at the support that it's put in since that flush, right? Like you got the 750 that's already held. So you got a bit of a double bottom yesterday forming on that CYRN, looking like it's trying to hold it again today. So you're watching that, if you're watching that cybersecurity space, it is set up for, potential 8 break, but just don't expect it to give you, like it gave 10 when it got up that level, and then yesterday it gave 9 and came all the way back violently. So I think you'd probably be looking for only 40 to 50 cents on that type of a move. I think given this pattern, that's a fade for me. But if it breaks the bottom, if there's any volume that comes into this stock, like that's where I'd want to be. Like if it takes out the low, I think that's a much more interesting trade than anything else. And it's only done 25 to 30,000 shares, but these day 2, 3 events can be interesting. If I'm watching the cyberspace, I want to see if something like this can go, because I know those fade trades are something that I like off of those highs. But CYRN usually pretty solid for it. We like our CrowdStrikes and Palo Altos. I think they're gonna work. That's just more of a long-term type of thing. Not always a good day trade when you're over in CrowdStrike.
Yeah, I'm looking at CYRN. There's not this chart. I can't really work with this chart. There's not a whole lot that I can do here in terms of setting up the trade. But I do want to answer a question in the chat. Chris asking me, how comfy is that hoodie? Well, let's just put it this way. I've got 3, and I actually only get to wear one of them because my wife has taken both the other 2 because they're that comfy. So they are pretty comfy. Can't go wrong. These are nice and soft. I was not surprised. I was actually not expecting them to be this as soft as they are, but they are pretty soft. So hey, hit up the shop, grab some of those hoodies and shirts if you want to. And in the meantime, we're going to go to Brendan with the upgrades and downgrades.
It's funny you say that. I have the same problem. I cannot even touch the ones that I have anymore. Here we go. Upgrades and downgrades for the day, guys. There's Adobe, top of the list. Earnings, we'll touch on that coming up. NetApp on here, security name as well, ING. There's a firm on the downgrade side today, Carnival, Neo, and PDD, some Chinese action.
So sells that just broke out the top, and I'm going to go right back to you'll see me out of the position now. Just broke the top. It's just going to go right back to the daily chart and show you that 340 to 350 area back on the daily. So it's tested through that 3 even, more of a psychological level than anything else. I think 350 is likely your next stop. But on that board, you're obviously going to have noticed a firm there, catching the downgrade. It's been on a run. Load. It's been on a run with basically everything else recently. But hey, look where we are on that daily chart. A firm right at $44, multi-day run. Okay, so I've gotten away with shorting it pretty much the entire week with the exception of yesterday. And, I've gotten stopped out at the high and I could have held on to it. Or I've had like small wins and tight stops or just taking like tight stops for losses. All in all, it's been like slightly up on the stock in the last week while it was going up. So if we're actually making a top and putting in a lower high, and this can be a turn, you better believe a firm is a name that's on my radar today. And you can see the market starting to accelerate to the downside. It's not doing volume yet. It is set up really well for any kind of a pop. I want to fade it up until that 44 level. And even a breakdown at 42 sets up pretty well. You sort of look at this floor. It's gone through that price, but just given how far we've come here, I feel like the only thing that would stop it is that 40 level, which it's bounced off of pretty well. But we're sitting at 43 bucks. So there's plenty of room on a firm here for it to work. And obviously, it's a name that I trade a lot. You stick to what works for you. Stick to the stock that you feel you get a bit of a better read on. And what I find with a firm is it's easier for me to be disciplined. Like when I'm in a firm, I get out of the trade when I'm wrong. And I'm able to usually hold it when we've got it right. So that tends to pertain to success. Although sometimes I'm making the top wick, shorting it. We'll see if it happens again today. Another note, Tesla broke 980, which is a consolidation level on its chart. I'll just do this so you guys can see a little bit better. Broke 980 and has been essentially barcoding off of this. And this is going to be on watch because that $1,000 level we were trading in the afternoon show. But it's couldn't get back up, and it looking a little bit weak here. If it can't get back above 980, you could see an initial flush on Tesla. 950 would be the first stop. I was going to wait for 1,000. Starting to get an itchy trigger finger for some of the shorts, though.
Yes. Shorting is not that we always want to do it, but it just seems like every time I'm on the show, I just happen to be leaning short, and I am leaning short with the market going down the way it is. It's kind of taking some of the names that I would have preferred at different prices, specifically Facebook. I was looking at Facebook 215 right across here. And then over pretty much in the last, 20 minutes, 30 minutes or so, here we are sitting at 213.5. So I still like Facebook sub 215 on the short side. I've still got the offer around there. So see if we can actually grab a fill if there's a pop off the open. The market still has space, and I'm going to kind of lead this right into our futures session as well. The stop on the futures that I've got to the downside, or the level I've got, is 44.60. So let me see if I can't grab this chart and bring it over to this screen. There you go. This is the level I'm working with here, 44.60 to the downside. That's one level. And then 45.50 is the level I gave you the other day. So, or yesterday, still in play. 45.50 up top. And then above that, we have 46.20, which I haven't marked off yet. So 44.60 is still down below. So we can still bounce through these 75s into 60. So what I'm looking forward to is hitting that support area. It's not a major one, so I'm looking for a little pop off of that support area right into these 85s, 90s, which should still provide some resistance. Work into some shorts, and then get it moving back to the downside. Of course, it's going to blow up in my face if the market actually respects this 60 with a solid effort, and then complete reversal. At that point, yeah, I'm going to get run over. But at the same time, these are the levels. The trend is to the downside. Let's work with the trend being to the downside and see if you can actually work this trend against this support area and make a move towards breaking it. Because like I said earlier, if we can actually get going to the downside, there's a lot of space in between levels. Below 44.60, the next level I've got is 43.50, which is 110 points away. So if we can actually get going, then there's space. But it's a matter of, can we get going is the question. As I say that, crude still putting in new highs here. 113.30 is where it's trading at now. We were looking, remember, a dip down into 111 and change. We're now trading north of 113. So still a good trend to the upside on crude, still a trend to the downside on the equity side, and looks like it's taking some of these index names with it.
Yeah, the wide ranges continue right across all of the markets. Speaking of the overall market, you mentioned Facebook there, Arun. Let's talk Apple as well, because when it comes to some of the bigger names, obviously going to follow the market a little bit closely. Apple announcing they picked up this credit monitoring company from the UK. A lot of people talking about the possibility of Apple Card expansion, Apple Pay expansion, based off of that acquisition. There was also some outages for a number of Apple-related services late in the day yesterday, including their head office, I was reading as well, lost power apparently. Apple, though, down here with the overall market. I mean, we just looked at Facebook. This one doing about the same as the market continues to slide.
Yeah, well, I mean, Apple doesn't seem to be sliding as far. I tend to think when you get a story about Apple and sort of expanding their card business, it's probably worse for other fintech names than I think it moves the needle for Apple. It's the same thing that we said about the EV story the other day. Like I feel like it's bad for everybody else, but at this particular point, unless I actually see something on the road, I don't know that we actually think it's going to matter too much. What does matter is it finally got back above the 50. I got to zoom this out so you can actually load further and see your 200 as well. So you've already bounced off the 2, and then just yesterday you reclaimed the 50-period moving average on Apple, and that's a big psychological level. I'll go back and just quickly point out that that's back at 166. So if you look at yesterday's high, that's right around that 166 level. If there's something that could give you a little bit of a dip, and a lot of times when you're looking to make a trade like that, you want to confirm that the futures are rounding off to give you a scalp trade in the first place. So let's make the assumption that you're dropping further. Maybe you get to a 14.5 on the NASDAQ, or approach one of your moving averages, and you're starting to consolidate. And then Apple's at that 166 level, yesterday's high. That's the kind of long I'd be interested in. It's on days like today. Sometimes like the stable name is where if you make a bottom, I like to jump into a dip buy. I know I'm trying to do that for Oxy and oil, but Apple 166 is a level that I'm certainly going to be interested in trading. If we can get down there, we still have about 1% to go. I mean, if Facebook was down 1.5, Apple's 0.6, it would drop another percent and we get into that level for Apple.
Yeah, as much as index names kind of tend to lean, obviously they have influence in the index. That's why they're major index names, right? So you have the big top tech names that have a decent chunk of the NASDAQ, and also the S&P as well. Apple's at the top of that list, Apple and the Microsoft, and you move down the list and you have Facebook there, but Facebook is also moving to its own tune right now, right? It's got a lot of other I guess behind the scene mechanics going on with shares being moved around between portfolios and whatnot. Apple is a bellwether. It's going to stick around. It's going to be at the top of the list. So it's going to move with the index. It's going to move the index as well. And the way it's been moving right now, it does look like it's taken that 168, looking for a rotation. It seems like it's been hesitating since we broke yesterday, right off the open. Since we took off, it does look like we're kind of finally getting a somewhat of a pullback. But even if you get that pullback, we're going to hit resistance in about $2, right? Around 166 and change, there's going to be support. And that's the problem with a name like this that's got, that's moved in step with the index and it's putting in support levels as it moves up. So 166 is going to be the first problem. And then you're going to deal with 165. And then you're going to deal with 163 and change. And pretty much all the way down, there's pockets of support that you have to deal with if you're going for the short. Facebook's a little bit different because of the way it's been moving. And it's, like I said, it's got its own tune that it's kind of moving to right now. So that's a little bit easier to trade. Somebody was asking about Square. Square was a big mover as well. And yesterday from 132 all the way up to 142, it looks like it may have put in a double top. I am looking at this 138 area, but the issue I have with this area, and the only reason I hesitate on Square, is because if you were to look at yesterday's open, just after the open, south of 138 into 136 or so, there's been some attempted sells that were rejected. So I want to see us at least clear that 136 before I would consider the idea of a short. But then when you go right back to the 60, what do you see? If we were to take a 136 short, your stop has got to be north of 142 and change. The risk gets too high at that point, right? So south of 136 is where the short would come into play, but then you would need it to come back up to give you a decent risk reward shot. So then you're running into a 132 support. So the issue is with Square is there's a lot of things that have to fall in line. You need to break a level, you need to bounce back into risk range, and then you have to set it up to take the short back towards the bottom. That's a lot to deal with for a trade that's just putting in a simple double top for the time being. So I think we just got to wait on this one. Maybe tomorrow we get some action in today. Maybe tomorrow we get that set up. The cleaner trade, of course, is going to be that 130 take. And I think 130 is going to be the easier trade to work with. It's simpler. It's easier. It's a straight up breakdown. If we get that, I think we just jump in on board at that point.
Just reading a note on Beyond Meat, guys. Their partnership with PepsiCo Planet looks like debuting Beyond Meat Jerky. Beyond Meat Jerky. Take that for what it's worth. Let's talk about the banks. I wanted to mention the Fed funds rate back to the upside here for May. So this is going to be the May meeting. We looked at this yesterday in the afternoon, and this was 61%. So now it's 66% that we're going to get a half-point hike coming up in May. This is the 10-year. We talked about this. This is an hourly chart, FYI. So we saw the initial move higher yesterday get faded. We're kind of chopping around now below that 2.4. We were talking about some of these yields, though. Unbelievable moves coming off the Fed last week, obviously, but the banks very, very strong yesterday on that move.
Yeah, like sort of remember, like try to put these into buckets, like the different banks. You have your traditional lenders, you have the trading side, more so like your Morgan Stanleys, your JPMs. Not going to have as big outsized moves when that's in that environment, but like your BACs, your Wells, they might do a little bit better when in those types of strong days. Now, I look at this and it's like every chart's going to show the same thing, pretty much. It doesn't matter what you're looking at in the market. You're going to have this consolidation, and anything that's right back to previous. There we go. Yeah, right back to these previous, I guess, support levels on the daily. You're just looking for a chance that it can either hold these levels and break back out, or it can break down through. So either you're finding something that you want to scalp within a range. Sometimes you look back at these trades and like, oh my goodness, how bad does that look? I'm looking and I'm seeing on my chart, yeah, I went long 90 on Morgan Stanley and made $1 the day that it went 4. So anyways, I hate looking back at those. It just tells me something. A, that if it gets to 90, I'm buying it again. But B, sometimes you got to hold on longer. But inside of the range, unless you are playing short 95, long 90, you're waiting for something to break back out. And this is a perfect segue to, and I apologize already because I just messaged you in the chat, and a couple of people have asked about NVIDIA in particular. And NVIDIA made a death cross on this daily chart. AMD, and I put this out in a tweet and was asked about it, when the 50 breaks the 200 period moving average, that's the death cross. When it breaks it down, the golden cross is when the shorter time period breaks longer to the upside. And it can mean a bullish or bearish trend is starting. Death cross, bearish trend. So some of the chip names are going through this right now, even though they've been pretty strong. And I look at NVIDIA, and it's right here on top of this like 260 support. So Arun was just talking about a breakdown for something like a square. Well, you've already made a double top here. And if you were shorting off that level, yesterday was your chance to do that. Now you're thinking about, can 260 hold on something like an NVIDIA? And there's a big gap to be filled all the way down to 45 to 50. And that's what a lot of times as a trader you're looking to capture. So yeah, NVIDIA 260 is one. AMD's not as clean. If you look at what's going on with AMD, there's still a lot of chop till you get to about 112, and then even then the real gap fills if it breaks 110. And when you look at the daily chart, that death cross has not happened yet for AMD. It probably has to drop, break 110, and then the 50 is likely to hold down here for a couple of days. And then the 50 is likely to break that 200 period moving average. So it's at resistance as well. It just hasn't really made that turn and hasn't gone through that significant level. NVIDIA is at 260, could be today.
NVIDIA 260. Going back to banks, I was just looking at that. Multiple banks. I hadn't looked at the banks since Fed Day. And we were just, yes, we're moving up and well, but now the setups are all looking the same across the board. Whether I go to JPM, Wells Fargo, or BAC, they all look the same, right? Essentially, strong rally yesterday, sideways action coming into today, and what looks like an attempted move up that's not getting anywhere. The problem with this is, though, even though you could argue for somewhat of a downtrend since 10 a.m. yesterday, we're going to hit support soon. Even if we keep going to the downside, we could trend right down into support, which is much bigger because it's a multi-day session or multi-day consolidation kind of breakout. So we could easily go, I'm looking at JPM right now. If we were to go down to 141, we're going to hit support. That's only $1 away. And if we hit that support and we get a setup, that's going to look the same across the board on all the banks, at least the ones I looked at anyways, BAC, JP Morgan, Wells Fargo, they all look similar. And if we get that set up, you go for the long. It's going to have to, you got to work the multi-day move the way it's being set up. It takes a lot more juice to go sideways and finally break than it does to just trend down or drift down after a nice rally off the open, right? So that's what I'm looking for. If we can get into that 141 on JPM, look for a spin, see if I can't get the setup, and then if I can get the setup, go for the long and see if we can actually work that long back towards that 144 even high. Well, that's generally, let me just say, that's JPM. If I were to go to BAC real quick, similar setup, right? Multi-day, here we go, going sideways now. The day after, we took a nice little rally right off the open, and it's going to look the same, like I said, for a lot of these banks.
Let's jump into everything else you need to know this morning as we are now just, wow, we're getting late here, guys. Almost 20 minutes to go here before we get the market open. That's the morning note we send out every single day before we come on, absolutely free for you. Miss V will help you out in the chat with the link if you do require that. Only need an email address, and you can have access to that. Meme stocks, top of the list after that move we saw yesterday. Ryan Cohen, 100,000 more GME shares. That kind of ignited the rally for GME. Huge move on the day yesterday. What do we do with these today, guys?
Scratched one thing off the list for GameStop, and that was, sort of taking this breakthrough like 136. I mean, it could have been 135 as well, but it was so early in the morning, and it was sort of coming off, and I said, yeah, didn't have the stop in. We'll likely get a chance at it, or maybe it does the pop and fade style trade. And you can sit there, and I guess we already said this, but you can sit there hoping that 125, where we made a top yesterday, is where you can hold out, and maybe there will be a bid down there. But when you look at the daily chart, like we are trying to get back through. Oh, there we go. Sorry. Yeah, that's all right. No worries. We're just trying to get back to that level on the daily, which is that 133 level right here. So that's almost more important. We just went through it now. I think if we hold below that price, you've got your gap fill to 125. If it can get back above it, I'm not sure what would stop this when it gets going. It still has a 19% short interest, and you start thinking about the 150. But there was a comment that it made in the afternoon that made some sense to me. It's like we had this crazy rally, one of the biggest rallies we've had in a while, a 5-day rally in the market. And then on the most recent day, all the meme stocks start going. So if you were going to tell me like what would cause the first turn in the market, that would make a little bit of sense. When the last things start to go, and probably the craziest, the most, I guess nonsensical is not maybe the word, but maybe it is. then that can be your turn right there. And that's why I'm leaning to the idea of some short. Though I like oil bounces to the long side. I definitely do. I think something like a General Mills, if that comes down into support, like I like that for a dip buy. I like something like an Apple for a potential dip buy. I just am not that confident with something like a GameStop or a COS, and given what we've seen the last couple of days. All that being said, like I showed you making the top wick on CELZ, if you're not willing to make the top wick and look dumb, then don't short something like GameStop, because you can get run over. And getting run over is okay as long as you get out where you meant to get out. So, if we do get that pop, like we were just sort of talking about, into the pre-market high or off the 50 level, then that's a short that has a termination point. And that's always important to be had, but that's the side I'm leaning to. And just to go right back down, saying sometimes lower hanging fruit is cost. If there's a more obvious trade in cost, like GME's already turning and cost hasn't turned yet, then I would definitely choose cost over GME, because it's only a sympathy play doing less volume, and I think lower path to resistance.
Well, as you can see, you can't see it just yet, but you will see when that ticker moves around. I have taken my first trade on AMC. It's to the short side, so as you can see, the way I feel about this setup, and like I mentioned, I'm going to stick with AMC. I'm not going to go into the GMEs. I'm not going to go into all the other names. I think AMC, just because of the technical setup, and the reason I say this is because of where we are. Actually, let me get the other chart up. And I mentioned this off the top, it's just the range. Given where we are, it's worth the risk at this point to take the shot on the short side. Once I get this chart loaded, there we go. So I'm short at 1896, worth the shot, I would think, right near the top end of the range. If we break through that 21, I'll get out, lose like $1 and change. It's worth a shot, because if we get this and if this works out, then I'm gonna get at least a 3-to-1 payout. So 3-to-1 payout, it's worth a shot. It doesn't matter whether you like the stock, you don't like the stock, you don't care about the stock. Money is money. And if you're gonna give me 3-to-1 odds, I'll take that all day, every day. So it doesn't matter that it's this name or it's happening right now, but because of what it is, I think I'll just get involved and take that 3-to-1 payout.
Hope everyone been able to open this video today, as YouTube experiencing some technical issues. If not, please make sure you refresh multiple times and smash the like button. We need your help so much today. And let's continue with Brandon.
Yeah, more M&A, guys, to talk about in the cannabis sector today. That has the entire group in positive territory. There may be, I was just looking at Tilray, and there may be more exciting trades to be had today. But Tilray up here, 5.6. You can have a look at CGC. There's Cron, obviously. If you missed it, it's Cresco taking out Columbia Care, and a big deal, $2 billion for a cannabis grower, which is a lot. 5.6 here for Tilray, though. Is there a trade in cannabis today?
I think there might be, obviously, but that's a big deal. And you had the sympathy run to the upside. I'm pulling up Tilray for you guys right now. It already pulled back a bit, but you sort of see what's going on here. Right at 99 by 6 for the last half an hour, the stock has been unable to move off of this range. And you sort of go back to, what is $6? Oh, that is right at the 50-period moving average? Really? So it's just going to sit here barcoding. And again, if you don't look at the higher time frame, you're not going to notice that was the 50-period that it happens to be sitting at, and it's already dipped down. I mean, the risk to reward is pretty solid. We're getting closer to the open where I wouldn't mind that kind of a trade, because what I'm thinking about is, okay, sympathy bounce play in Tilray. You just put your stop here. There's an offer at 02s that I'm not going to let go. I'm just going to hit it if it starts to go. Otherwise, I want to catch this a little bit closer to the open, and then just give it. Yeah, someone already hit that level. There we go. I'm just going to get into it. Forget about it. It's going to hit that 02, and if we can hold like the 95, just this tight little cluster that we've been in here, I don't mind that. Tilray still got the short interest with it, and it's just a pure momentum type of thing. But it hasn't been able to get out of here. And you can have a tight stop to 95, risk about 10 cents at worst with slippage. Well, if it gets even back to where it was at 8:30 when we came on air, that's already pretty solid 1-to-1. Now I see some offers in there, there's offers at 10. There's another one sort of sitting there at 26, 25, 26 as well up here. But that's perfectly fine. So when I see barcoding action like that in a stock that's going to be in play, a lot of times it gives you a defined risk to be able to go with. And you just sort of go with the news or the momentum. And on top of that, you've had the meme names going, and sort of not bingo, bango, bongo, but you know exactly what it is that you're trying to accomplish with that trade. I know where I'm wrong, and that's where I wanted to start out with. I know a lot of people are asking me to look at Sundial. I don't know that it's doing enough volume for it to be the name that I want to jump at today. Usually, when cannabis is going, Sundial is a name that I just love trading it, and I love fading it. And it's not to say that I won't do that here today, but 4 million shares seems like a lot. That's why I see for volume, and it's not moving a ton. It's really not very active. The days that I'm trading this thing are when it's actually pressing in the pre-market, making some moves. I'm not seeing it. If it got to 70 cents, okay, that's a level to be sure, but Sundial not on the radar. Tilray looks a little bit more exciting to me, but I just love that barcoding that you saw there in the pre-market. Sometimes you get some easy trades off that.
Easy trades. Oil is an easy trade. Look at oil still going now.
Seriously?
Almost at 114. This is getting nuts on crude. It's hard because you want to participate, but at the same time, the way it's moving, this kind of angular movement, this kind of trend is very tough to get involved with, right? At what point, where do you put your stop? Where do you get in? What's your risk? All that stuff needs to be asked before you step into a trade, especially one that's moving this strong. It's not, you can't just expect it to continue forever, right? So the way I like to look at it, like I mentioned earlier, is, hey, come down to 111, even 111.50, and then I can maybe work along against the 110s. And here we are. And that was back when we were around 113. I think we was just underneath 113, and here we are now almost at 114 and just backing down a little bit. Keep in mind, though, crude, even though market opens in 15 minutes, crude is not going to move as soon as the market opens, right? It's not going to go absolutely nuts or anything because crude has its own schedule, right? It closes roughly around 2:30. Then you still have some Globex trading, but at the same time, most volume dies off after 2:30 Eastern time. So for the time being, crude's in a trend, and you're not going to see, I can't be like, oh, let's wait for the open and see what happens. It's not going to matter. 9:30 is not going to matter for crude because it has its own schedule. It runs on its own time. So for us, it's just a matter of at what point do we get that dip? Do we even get a dip into that 111.50 or so to work a trade on crude? So, but in the meantime, though, while we're waiting for crude, what can we do with Oxy? Because, hey, Oxy is a name that we've traded before when crude has been an option. And let me get the 60-minute chart because Oxy was doing something here towards that high from yesterday here, high of 62.40, so call it 62.50. Then you still have to deal with some pre-market activity around 64. So be very, very careful about taking that high out from, what is this, 2 days ago here, from the 21st. Even if we were to take that out, you got to worry about that 64 because we did back down in the pre-market on the 7th of August. So if we can finally get through 64, maybe there's a trade on Oxy instead of crude, given how crude is just moving in a trend that doesn't want you to get involved with. So for now, we're just going to have to look at some other names, see if they set up in the meantime while we're waiting for crude.
All right, let's talk about Adobe here, guys. We had a decent move to the downside after market yesterday. Even if, like, record numbers, both the EPS and revenue numbers beating top and bottom line, pretty impressive, but it was the forecast that came up a little bit shy. And they pointed to Russia, saying that they've stopped, obviously, sales in Russia, so that could hurt them going into next quarter.
Blaming that. I'll hit this one. I'll see this before we go to do Adobe. We broke the barcode, got the O2s. There was a 30,000 offer on O2 that I was gonna wait and sort of get on the bid there, but once I saw it start to get hit, it's like, okay, just take the breakout. The first channel was gonna be this 8 to 13 price area, so we got some legs out there. We got a 40% out, and then we're looking to get some more out closer to that pre-market rollover price. So Tilray, the short interest, cannabis, we just went over. Adobe, I just think, I'm not sure there's going to be a day trade here, but this is, we sort of talked about it getting into some prices where it's a good long-term bet for Adobe. Being that it's not on the growthier side of a lot of names, then when you guide poorly and given the run that we've had in some of tech, yeah, it already made a push into the 50 period. It resisted 480. You're going to have a lot of trouble getting through that level unless it was a perfect report. And when you guide poorly, of course it's going to pull back. I don't know that you're buying until it gets back to that 4 to 420 range again. And even then, if it were to break lower, we thought that was just a start, get into it to start, right? Like the chart looks terrible, but you've got to pick an entry point in a company you like at some point. And it was overall a pretty solid report. Growth just not where they'd like it to be. And ultimately, that's something that you're probably going to see with guides for a lot of companies. So we're not out of the woods yet because it has to break back out here. at 480, but you let things settle down a bit, and you've got some support clearly at that 4 to 420 level. I don't see the day trade for Adobe, though.
Yeah, neither do I. And it's going to be all about that 500 level on Adobe. The trend is to the downside. This is from December. This is pretty much a daily chart from December, moving all the way down. You see the trend, you see the activity, you see where we hesitated around that 500 to 480, the level that Neil was talking about. Now on the way up, we kind of failed around that 480 back in early March. And now we attempted to get close yesterday, overnight, and now we're backing down towards that 448. Can you step into an intraday trade? The issue is that if we were to break this chart down, and let's put down a 15-minute chart or so, if we were to break this chart down, at what point does this market let go of this, I guess, the support level or the minor support level that makes sense for us to say, you know what, let's go in for a short because the risk makes sense because now I can use a different level other than 500. At no point do I see that. It has to be close to 500 or not because of the way it moves, because of the way it's been moving for the last few months, 4 months now. To the downside, and the way it's been putting in levels, it's hard to step in on an intraday and just put in a micro level to work with because of the action you're getting. Maybe you can argue 435 towards 425 if you're about that small risk to reward. But again, Adobe's one of those big movers. It was north of like $650 or so, and then we finally got turned. Yeah, it was close to 700. It actually hit 700 actually back in early or mid-November, and then here we are, kind of just falling off, double top, fall off, and here we are almost going in half of what that is. So for the time being, we're just going to stay away from Adobe, find some other things to trade because there's a lot of options. As I'm watching AMC, there's a lot of volume going through these 19s. I'm on the short side, as you can see, but definitely AMC, keep an eye on this because there's a lot of volume happening around that 19.
Yeah, nice hold of 19 there for AMC, trying to get back to the upside. Let's talk Tesla. We touched on it quickly there, guys. Lots of people just joining us still. Ms. V and I were talking about this 950 area yesterday and essentially said, if you're long into 950, that's a great trade because it went $50 more than that. Doesn't mean you missed out. It's trade your plan at the end of the day, right? I mean, a move into 950, obviously a huge level in itself, and then it goes $50 more to the upside to almost 1,000. So all about this 1,000 level up here today.
I have it's an unbelievable run that Tesla made. Again, I don't really have many words to describe it other than it's spectacular, but we've seen this before with Tesla. And when a stock that's a company that big starts moving the way that it does, it's almost jaw-dropping. Now, we were short in the afternoon show at 1,000 because it's 1,000, and it worked out, but there was no follow-through. You get this lower high. I don't know, if the fact that we haven't rolled over really on Tesla leads me to believe that it won't take much of a bounce in the market to get that 1,000 test. And will I be short in front of 1,000? Yeah, I will. Is it a breakout that obviously everyone and their mother is going to be looking at? For sure. So it's likely to be a crowded trade through that. If we sniff 950, then I don't know what it would take for us to get down to that price, but it's an obvious buy in front of 950. As much as any day trader is likely to just say, you've got to try the 1,000 level in some direction because it's too significant a level, I'd say the same thing about the 950 dip. Now, on the other hand, and I'm going to jump, because we only have 7 minutes to go here, I'm going to jump to NIO for a quick little second because it made a double top as well at 2210. I think if you're looking for a dip on this, it's a little bit closer to the 20 even level, so you want to be almost sitting it out. It's set up for a run at that high from yesterday at 2210. That also is, again, it's still just shy of that 50 period as well, and that's where it's rolling over from. So it needs to break out of this consolidation, get past maybe even 23 before it gets away from overhead resistance. So till then, I like the 20 dip buy much better in something like an NIO. It's close to that 2210 top, much like Tesla is. So if you're trading NIO, do not hesitate to look at what Tesla is doing. If Tesla fails off of 1,000 and you're trying to take a long break in NIO at 22, maybe not the best timing to do it. Tesla's going to move those markets when it comes to the EV names. Today is a Tesla day for me. I'm probably going to trade Tesla over NIO because 1,000 level is just too good to be true. GameStop just took out 130, so that 125 could come into play. I guess I'm not going to get the short off the top, but remember 125, yesterday's high. That's the first level of support I'm looking for.
Well, going back to Tesla, I've already struck this from my list because of the price point. If we can trade south of 700, so we can get into the area where I'm more comfortable trading it. I have certain cutoffs for price points when it comes to the names and lists that I'm willing to trade. And Tesla hasn't matched that or hasn't been in that range in a while. But you still are going to you're still going to put up some levels here. And I think even 1,000, this is a level I put up a while ago. This was back in February, I think, when we were sitting around that 900. We were stuck between 850 and the top, which I said was around 1,000 or so. If we get north of 1,000, then we can start looking again. But when I mean looking is just people are asking questions, so I'll just look at it. But for now, it's going to be 1,000 or nothing at this point, because even if you go to the downside, you're going to have to clear at least 920 to get some activation for shorts. Everyone's looking at that 1,000 at this point, so everybody should be looking at that 1,000. Are we going to get extension north of 1,000? Are we just going to fail off of 1,000? A lot of questions need to be answered if we can actually get to 1,000 on Tesla. We are $20 away, but what's $20 for Tesla though, right? It moves absolutely nuts. So $20 can be covered off the open if they really wanted to take a shot at 1,000. If they can get some support from the futures, which are now bouncing off those 4480s, if we can actually get some support from the futures, Tesla might just take the market with it and get the futures to go to the upside. And remember, Tesla's a big chunk of the index as well, right? So we get that move on Tesla, we get the indexes popping, everything moves to the upside. In the meantime, it does look like AMC's drifting to the downside now after working those 19s. But again, AMC is going to be one of those wait until the open and then you'll see where the volume is coming from type of situations because of the pre-market activity. Not everyone has access to it from what I understand, right? Not all platforms that people want to trade AMC are going to have access to this market in the pre-market. So what volume is going to come in after the open remains to be seen. I think that's going to answer a big question, whether it was just a one-day event in all these sub-names or related names apart from GME, or are we actually going to get some activity across the board, cost, GME, AMC across the board? Is that going to be a whole sector thing, or is it just going to be the one name and everyone else that was a sympathy rally is just going to fall off?
All right, a few minutes ago here, guys, let's talk about some small caps. This one on the list this morning, LBPS. They had a kidney cancer treatment drug trial results that came back better than expected. So positive data for them. LBPS up 50 still, but breaking downside here. I just marked off 750, which was 740 to 750. There's a bit of an area, which is pre-market resistance. Then 8 and 9 above that. We're already breaking downside for LBPS. Wide range on that one.
Yeah, that's a big one, and certainly I know it's doing some pretty solid volume. Also, sells Ed at that 350 level right at the open. Well, 3 minutes to go until the open. It just got to 50, broke to 56. But I did want to come to Alibaba quickly here because there were a lot of names that ran big, and Baba's run just about as big as anything else in recent days. And you're watching again another double top here inside the channel. I almost want to say who cares. 114 breaks and things get really spicy there. 118.40 to the upside. That's your channel. And I think if you want to trade inside of it, go ahead. I want to see it break out of the channel. I almost don't care which direction. It holds a bit above 118. And I think that's where you're looking for a long if the market can get back and it gets down below 114. That makes sense as well. I was asked about Virgin Galactic. It's at like 950. 9 and 10 are the two levels there. So inside, I want something that's either near support or breaking out or, near a resistance level, like a firm that I just got into. Was able to just get a firm here in front of that 43. You can see that 44 top. That's where my clean out is going to be on a firm with just that 2.5 minutes to go. For those of you that think Sean is on a beach somewhere, someone to sell Zed to show you the 350. Yeah, that's at 350 level there. And for those of you that think that Sean is on a beach somewhere, he's not just yet. I think he might be watching because I know he's flying out today. To Miami. Rune's going to be here. We'll talk some futures, which are down close to a full % now on the NASDAQ. But the big runner I see at the open, which is where my eyeballs will be, is sell Zed. I got my orders down for dip buys in oil, looking for an NVIDIA 260 break. I've already got the long in Tilray off that 6 level. And Pinduoduo was the other one. I showed you guys Alibaba. PDD looks really good at that 50 level if he can get up there, but just as clean. Look at 46, double top, support, multi-day support. If Pinduoduo breaks 46, I'm going back to the well. That's the name in the Chinese space that I've been trading on a daily basis, at least for the last week, and I'll go right back to it. Pinduoduo through 46 to the south side. 90 seconds till we get revved up and locked and loaded and ready to go here. For now, the market looking like it's down, but a lot can change at 9:30. Yeah,
absolutely. A lot can change. And what changes potentially? Let's look at the imbalance locator. Somebody was asking about that. Let's throw that up there real quick here. This is what you've got. not a whole lot. The largest imbalance you're seeing this morning is going to be LYG short, sell side 325,000, and then UXIN 310,000. Everything else is going to be sub 300. Not a whole lot. That very, very small, if anything, this morning. Or do we have any big names? Maybe Exxon, Ford's there, sell 280K or so. I mean, it doesn't really matter. At this point, that's not going to be large enough to even be worth paying attention to. GME, I'm noticing, had broken 130, now bouncing back as we get closer and closer to the open. As you can see, I grabbed a short on BILI as well. That was, I think, an off print that I just was able to capture there. So that's in the money for now. So a couple of shorts to start the day. AMC, flat. That 7-cent winner, nah, that story has not been told just yet. So we're going to wait on that one. And BILY, we're just going to wait on that.
Yeah, and Miss V is going to be on the bell on this Hump Day Wednesday. I haven't even said Hump Day yet. I always do on a Wednesday. She's locked and loaded. Hope you guys are ready for an exciting market because that's what it's been every day this week. 5, 4, 3, 2, and ring it. Oh, that was the rally ring by Miss V.
I like that, Valeria.
I like
nice
that.
Build up.
Right out the bat, gonna watch the
There we
GameStop here, trying to test that 130 once again. So there's some pop and fades that we like, but GameStop has been the bigger mover here. Yeah, it just took out that 130 level, so it looks like 125 could come into play. Of course, I decided to be short Affirm because that's what I like, and it goes right into that 44 level. So we've got our Affirm trade on. That's your 44 top. So the pop and roll needs it to actually start to roll in here now. So Affirm starting to come into that upside. Tesla, I would have loved. See, Tesla would be more exciting if it did that run to the upside. Like, don't do it Affirm. Go Tesla into 1,000. That would be much more exciting. I don't think we're going to be able to get that one. While Tilray just took out that 6. So we talked about liking this long because it gave you that pretty clean barcode. My chart wants to load here. Come on, tell me the 1 minute's loaded. It gave you that pretty clean barcode off of 6 even. But the second that's violated, we got the long in here. We took 40% out, up around 10 to 13. And when it breaks the low, you just get out of the trade, except that it's not going to work. I just got into an NVIDIA on that 260 short. So a couple of shorts have already come in. The long in Tilray is gone, and my chart's frozen.
Yeah, I've got 3 shorts. As you can see, we took BILY. We got that filled just before the market opened. That's 66 cents in the money. AMC, 10 cents. It's all over the place, though, right? That's expected for a name like this on a day like today. So we're gonna leave that one alone. And then Facebook, I also picked up a short. Finally got that fill around that 215. Remember, we were looking for shorts sub 215 off an early break. That order was in there for a while. Let me pull up the chart for you guys. Show you guys what I was seeing. Let's move the 60-minute chart. I think that'll show you exactly what I was looking at. This here, taking of that 217 high and then coming right back in and then taking it again to the downside. So why not take a shot on the short side? We've got a trend to the downside on the S&P. We're running into support, yes, but I'm looking to use that support bounce as any potential to short. As I watch this, though, AMC right back towards those 19s. We went as low as, I think it was like 8. Did we even get to 18? No, we didn't. Well, how low did we even get? I slid in the 50s at one point. We got as low as 1836, and now we're right back to 19. So clearly, we've got a nice little run up on AMC. Hey, buyers in play? Great. That's fine. I just, like I mentioned off the top, this is, I don't really care how this trade, well, I do care how this trade goes.
Always.
But the risk reward makes sense not to take, or to take it and not miss out on it. So we're going to go with that. Futures on crude. Crude futures still going. Now we're looking just at 114. Still going towards that 114 on crude.
I'm almost having to adjust Oxy here because when you get that 62 break, the only trade then comes back to that 62. Like, forget about the dip buy at 60 even. So if I can pick it up where it broke out from, that's going to be the first look now on Oxy. You have to be able to adjust the plan. I've missed that time and time again here. Already Affirm decided to stop me out. It went through that 44 level. That's me making the top wick. NVIDIA didn't do that. It actually made the break. It then held. So NVIDIA is one that I feel like we can be into a little bit longer. I'm hesitant to want to take it out too shallow, but you look at this first level down here, like 257, 258. Like, I do need to get something out on the way to that here on NVIDIA. So just given the way that it's barcoded and what this market has been doing at these opens, I should just always try to cross the spread instead of get out. But I'm going to take a little piece out of here of NVIDIA. If I can get the first buck, we'll go ahead and do that. GameStop off the open. I thought it was about to make a run. It had bounced off through that 130 level to the downside, made a 127 bottom, not the 125 we liked, and then retested the high. Hasn't gone yet. But the name that looks like it's about to come is going to be Tesla. Tesla 1000 inbound. Oh, it could be, because we got to 988 here. I feel like you don't want to chase this thing. You want to wait for 1,000. That's the big level on Tesla. That's what I'm going to be looking for. So in and out for the loss and affirm. Going to hold on to NVIDIA. I did get that first out there for the buck and change, but Tesla 1000, oh baby. That and CellZ, those are the two names that are the big runners. And CellZ went right into $4, put a wick high in. This is where it gets binary. Like, it either consolidates off 350, that psychological level, makes another run at $4, or it could just, sort of flush right here. I'm going to play for the former. 4 is a nice level. If it can break back to the upside, I would short it off of that 4 even area. But otherwise, it's going to be stick to the plan. As the market continues to roll over, I look at something going counter trend like Pinduo Duo. I still like the 46 break, but that can be faded, hopefully at 50 even, if it can get to that price. For now, it's going to be counter trend.
All right, Mike Rehan saying he's got the 44.80 short on the futures. Good call.
Nice.
The futures now 44.75, so you got a 5-point mover already. And somebody warning me, or not one person, a bunch of people warning me, don't go short. I told you not to go short on AMC. Guys, the story's not written on AMC. There's a lot of day left. So you got to wait for the entire trade to happen, right? It's going to win or it's going to lose, but right now it's winning because it's now at 1830. Remember, we went to 1830, we bounced all the way back to 1920 or something, and then right back down to now at 1820 and moving hard to the downside. Risk reward says take the trade every day, all day, right? All day, every day. So why not? At this point, we're just going to wait. I'm looking at roadblocks potentially for another trade as well. I'm just going to wait a little bit. I'm looking at that 49 area on roadblocks for a potential short, not confirmed just yet. Just keep an eye on it. Brennan?
All right, first one to pop up here on volume, guys. GIS, General Mills, ripped right through to 66.5 there off the open for GIS off better than expected earnings.
Oh, General Mills, that's one we liked, but I didn't actually even think there was going to be the day trade there. One that we did think there'd be the day trade. Here's Oxy. I can tell you this dark pool print didn't really come down there and pick up that 62. Otherwise, I'd be into the long. It's just gonzo at this point. I still feel like it's not, I'll chase it in terms of dip buys. I won't chase it in terms of, buying it here at that top. That's not the approach that I like. I just got back on the offer for a reload in NVIDIA as it was making that curl. So the 260 is gone. It's getting the bottom end of this channel here. And if you're just tuning in now, this is what NVIDIA looks like. You had the double top. You're rolling through that 260. We took first level out here at 58. And now starting to think about, can I get a reload in front of that 260 level? And can we get to that 250? That's what we're looking for that break to the downside. I would say caution with AMC because GameStop is about to take this 134 level where it's been hanging out in the pre-market. If it breaks that high, it's likely to retest some of those areas in the pre-market that I like to short. But first things first, a certain 1,000 is about to come into play here on, oh yeah, Tesla.
Oh yeah, Tesla 1000.
Yeah, baby.
If everything else wasn't happening, this is what I'm just going to keep it up here just so you guys can see on the left-hand side here, Tesla 1000, maybe the level 2 on it. If everything else wasn't happening, Tesla 1000 would have happened like minutes ago, right? We're 7 minutes in. We would have been here about 6 minutes ago on Tesla 1000 if AMC, GME, all that stuff wasn't going nuts right now. Talking about going nuts, AMC, which was just at 1825, has now decided that it wants to make another turnaround back towards 1920. Like I said, the story's not over on AMC or any of these other meme names just yet. So complete reversal from that 1820, now north of 19 and change. There's a lot of day left and there's a lot of movement left on the table. We'll see which direction they finally settle on, whether it's going to continue to the upside or it's going to be actually a breakdown. Just wait it out. That's all you can really do. And Neil hitting the swish there.
If I was dunking it, I'd be dunking on Arun's head like I probably would do in my dreams. No one dunks on Arun. He'd do the hard foul. I just feel like that'd be his game on the court. I don't know actually.
Hard foul, you think?
I think you do the hard foul and do me dirty as I'm soaring in like that. But
I mean, don't get me wrong. I'll send a message one time and then you will never do it again. But that's about it.
Right. I'm not going to trash talk this dude ever again. Because that's like, trust me, like Arun, he's a little bigger than me. But Tesla, we got the first leg here. And yesterday, it was the same price. It was right at this $9.97. So if you're watching the afternoon show, you'll remember that it got to 97, barely breaking it, getting into that 98 with not a lot of volume, and couldn't get to 1,000. And I changed the approach. Instead of waiting for 999, just get the first third at 97. I got some out at 93. I think if it gets back to VWAP, we'll take the rest out, because this is a play into 985, 990. That's the channel that I'm playing with. It's not about thinking you're hitting a home run whole Tesla all day trade. I guess there's people out there that want to do that. No. Yeah, like just take the win when you've got it in there. NVIDIA as well, able to get that reload off at 260. Remember the 260 breakdown? We're able to grab that one. Now it's taking out that low. And I've already done the scalp trade. I'm thinking about how can we get to 250, because the futures just accelerated to the downside. So as I see this happening, I got stopped out once on a firm. I'm getting right back into it right at 44. If a firm can't go down when the market is doing this, then a firm can't go down. And I deserve to die on that hill. If you're going, well, no, you should never try to die on the hill, but I deserve to die on the hill of a firm if this market wants to go down. And by the way, not everything is going to the downside. I showed you guys that 134 level on GameStop. That's breaking out here off the 134. It didn't get to the pre-market highs, but GameStop marching to the beat of its own drum, and that drum is upside and bullish, up 10%, but it has given some back since that pre-market high.
Well, yeah, that's the thing with GameStop too. It was at 125, right? We were looking at GameStop. 125 is the previous daily support area that they need to clear. Are they going to bounce? Are they going to break? Whichever direction it goes is going to be the direction that this market's going to want. Well, not this market, but the stock's going to want to go. Are we going to fail this area, or are we going to take a shot at breaking it? It does look like pre-market we attempted to go down, and now we're running, but then, you know, the way that GameStop's moving compared to the way that AMC is moving, very, very different. Yes, AMC's up, but at the same time, it's not moving at the pace, and it's got very, very different technicals in terms of setup. So GME might go while AMC might take its time to, you know, attempt to move up. So we're gonna have to wait on this one. Like I said, the story is not over on GME or AMC and these levels and how we're going to be trading, because there's a lot of positions being taken both sides, right? So we're going to have to wait for this one to see how this one, at least today, plays out.
Here we go.
As Tesla goes back towards 1,000. Brennan.
Another one you could maybe put in that group, guys. Camber Energy with a big move here off the open from 95 through $1. Monster volume alert there at $1 for CEI.
Oh, that was dirty. I was able to get out, but I didn't get the reversal on Tesla the way I would have liked it there. So I end up getting a slipped reversal at 2s on Tesla. That's a crap entry on Tesla there. We got the reload. I was actually on the bid at 985, or sorry, 986, and went to 987 there. But then we took our shares at 98 and 99 to the short side. We gave our 100 stop. Now it's battling here, 1,000 to 1,002, as you can see there. Now it's starting to go. Now, obviously, when you do a breakout trade, I know a lot of people are looking at this. A lot of day traders are going to be long Tesla around that 1,000, and their initial thing is like, just get some out on the push to 105, sorry, 1,005. I can't say 105, 1,005, and then try to hold the rest. So that's a pretty common way to want to play this. I'm doing that same sort of thing where you do the initial scalp in case it pulls back, but there's no levels up here at this point. But like, where is Tesla going to go? I have no idea. Is it going to be 110? Is it going to be, I'll go to the daily chart and show you, you're in rarefied air for Tesla. Maybe you can get to 1,050. The market's trying to make a bit of a reversal. Tesla's doing its own thing, man. Like the NVIDIA trade still looks good to the short side, and Tesla is putting on one of these types of moves. So that 1,000 level, either direction, you had to be able to play off of it. It gave you the short initially. Now it's giving you the long.
That's the thing with Tesla, right? The way it's moving, the price action, the volatility itself is, it's exciting. The problem is, as someone earlier in the chat called me a robot. So this much excitement might blow my circuitry. So I can't be trading Tesla. You got to be more analytical about it, and that's why you see me in the trades that I'm in. Facebook, Billy, and AMC on the short side as well. Facebook's done absolutely nothing. It's just bounced up and through that 214, 216. Now we're back and forth. Now I'm down 10 cents. I was up, now I'm down, and I'm flat. And Billy coming back in as well. Nice little bounce on Billy. It had an early open that was actually pretty solid, but now it's bouncing up. But again, the technicals on this is a much larger time frame. So even though it's bouncing back and now it's only 25 cents in the money, we're short just underneath 29 here, right off this, what was that, just before the open here. even though it's bouncing from 27.80 all the way back up, the risk reward on this is weighted out. Weighted out. I have no reason to get out. Yes, I'm giving up some profit, but at the same time, this is how I trade. So we'll just wait it out as we kind of work this. And as I say that, AMC taking a look at 20.
Oh, wow.
AMC taking a move to the upside. So everyone who warned me earlier, hey, you guys might be right, but at the same time, I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do. And if 21 goes, then I'll get out. But for the time being, I'll stay on the short side.
And speaking of that, so Tesla, it can't seem to get past 107 for now. So if it breaks 110, I'll think about where I need to put my trailing stop in, riding the long. Affirm's going to get me twice. But when the market was coming down, I had to take a shot at Affirm. I'm not reloading NVIDIA because the market made a harsh bottom there, and I want things to level off a bit before I get back into it. But GameStop at this 143 top, it's putting in a bit of a curl here at 140. You saw it make the 140 break, couldn't get to the high of the day. And to me, it's just be patient. If you're making counter trend trades, like I want to see it reject the level. So that 140 lower high makes a break, can't get through the top. So it rejects that level a bit. And then I want to jump into short. I know where I'm going to be wrong. Takes up the high, you get out. You get 1-to-1 down into VWAP there. So you pick your spots. And I think that's the spot that I was looking for on GameStop. Quickly over to cost, because I know some people might be watching this. It didn't do nearly as big of a run. Like it got a bit of a bounce there, but not to significant levels. And I said, if cost was a more obvious trade when GameStop got to a high, I would take the trade on cost. That wasn't the case here, so I'm expressing the trade in GameStop itself.
Yeah, I'm going through the board here. Do I want to participate in GME? Absolutely not. No, that's too much. That's way too much action, and the setup is pretty much this, right? Like you either go with 125 or you've got to go near the top, and if you go near the top, you got to work those 148s, right? If we go up another $10, I might participate on GME on the upside, but for the time being, anything in between, I'm not stepping into. I'll just put the alert out and see if we can't get into a trade. I'll still hold my AMC. I'm perfectly. Some people are concerned for me. You know, get out now. It's fine. We're cool. It's all good. I know the risk I'm taking when I take that shot, but I also know the technical read that I'm making when I take that shot. So I'm perfectly okay with the risk side of things, even if it doesn't work out. It's not the end of the world if it doesn't work out. I've got other things going for me. Facebook, 70 cents in the money, finally making a move back south of that 215. If you guys can see that, you guys can barely see that. I don't know why the charts do that though. These I like the e-signal charts way more. Let's just go back to Facebook here. The only problem with the e-signal charts is that you can't see my positions on them. So here I am short around 215 or so. Facebook working. Finally, we're looking for that resistance between that 215 to 216. That's the only reason we left the offer there, right? Now, as it's coming back in, we're looking for them to take the 213s and get into the 212s. Maybe 212.50 or so would kind of get me to start looking at some potential profit targets. But for the time being, we're going to leave it alone. Reason why Facebook is going, futures, quick look at the futures here. Making a move, still trending down. Mike Rehan with the short at 44.80. Good call there. That's a nice 13-point winner at this point. Once it breaks 44.60, which is my support level that I've been working with since yesterday, then I'll step in and start working some shorts on the future side of things. But for the time being, trend is to the downside, but I'm not in just yet, just because I don't know where the stop levels are going to be. So we're going to leave it alone and see if we can't find a trade later on the futures.
I'll tell you where the stops are for GameStop. It was at that high of the day. So if I'm taking a shot at it, you're going to go through the high. I'm going to get out. You're going to see it happen right here. Like, look at that top break. What a move on GameStop. It didn't get to, like, it was so close to 125, and it should have been close enough. And that's probably pie in my face. That should have been close enough. I guess it wasn't for me. I took the first shot in Affirm. It didn't work. Swung and missed. But if you look at that level, and with the market doing what it's doing, like the NVIDIA, like the plays that I like for the shorts that actually might follow the market, the growth names, you know, if Firm's going to make that run, it got to 45. I missed a chance for some 44.50s in here, but I was able to get right back in at the 44 level, and that's a level that we're contending with. So you know, I'm going to definitely get some out, like I just showed you in front of, like right here, we got some out in front of yesterday's top, that 43.5. The next bid's going to be right at a pre-market high at 43, and then I'm looking down for that 42 level, guys. So into Affirm still. NVIDIA has been, I think, and partially because the chips have been weak on those daily charts, NVIDIA has been pretty smooth sailing. We were able to get out, and it's going to look like one trade. I'll have to show you in the 1 minute. It's actually 2 times off that 260 break and able to get out 258.5. And now that the trend is pretty much confirmed and the market continues down, this can be a nice little hold. and maybe it's an all-day hold. We'll have to see. You never know how these things will go. It will not be case closed on NVIDIA for a while, though. I feel like this is one that we've got pretty well. And not to ignore sell Z, right? Like Tesla 1000 happened, initial short worked, second short didn't. The long breakout was good for a clean break, and then it reclaimed 1000. But sell Z didn't quite get to $4. It managed to bounce off VWAP here. I thought that would take it to 4, and then I would look for either a short or a breakout at the even price. Neither of those two things happen. As long as it holds this VWAP, I think you're either playing off the high of the day or you're trying to catch bounces. Just incredibly strong right now on CELZ. And with GameStop right back at 144, the trade that I really liked a little bit better was to say, hey, put your fade on for cost, right? Like cost is something that's showing you not as much strength, and it's nowhere close to those highs a day. If we get back below like we just did on GameStop, I think the lower hanging fruit is to take the consolidation short on cost. That was the original plan. I'm going right back to that original plan because that's what seems to be working. This market absolutely dropping, and that's why I'm leaning to the short side of the trade. I mean, the market is going down after all.
Market's going down, you just don't see it. If you're looking only at the meme names, you don't see it, because they've been taking off. At one point, the high on AMC is $20.43. So even though the market has just fallen 10 points. So, there's a mismatch there. And the only reason there's a mismatch there is because it has nothing to do with the index. These names aren't, are they actually? I may be wrong.
In the Russell, like AMC's
no, in the S&P?
Yeah, not the S&P.
They're not in the S&P.
None of the meme names in the S&P.
So
the Russell, maybe some of them, but.
And we're looking at the S&P futures, right? So the S&P futures down 0.84%. What is the NASDAQ? NASDAQ is down 1.21. So if you're going to go in that direction, you got to look at the big tech names, right? Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Tesla, Google, NVIDIA. NVIDIA, actually, reminder. We'll take a look at NVIDIA when we come back from Brendan.
Another big mover from the past couple of days, guys. NRSN just popped up through 750, and you can see monster volume spike there at 750 coming back in as well for that one. NRSN from Monday, I believe we were talking about.
Oh, thank you. I'm gonna hit this, and it's weird because it's like celebrating a win on cost, but I'm slapping myself in the face because you heard my plan that was if there's a better opportunity in cost, wait for that over GameStop. And I tried GameStop off the top. This is what happened. My charts that I used, my black charts that I use up here, don't show the executions. But yeah, I got stopped out shorting it here through that high of the day. However, it did at least provide this opportunity that on this flush, we're able to see cost in a consolidation, and then that rolls back into VWAP. So I just got 70s down into 40. I'll get some more out if we pop down to 10 even. And this was the path of least resistance. I said it and I didn't do it. This time we're going to end up actually listening to ourselves. Affirm is starting to roll over, and before I get to Affirm, I got another leg out on Affirm, but Sell Z just broke down through that support level. So things happening rather quick here. I've managed to get 3 shorts, but keep in mind, like I lost the initial short on Affirm, wasn't able to get that one right at all. And Tesla was sort of like a story of, yeah, like the long breakout was okay, but I wasn't willing to take it. I wanted to see it break 110 before I got the rest of it out, and now it's putting in a harsh rejection of that 1,000 break. So that was probably a reshort, but at that time I'm busy getting costs and taking some profit on Affirm there. And again, I know where you're going to show you lots of executions here, but you're not trading 10 stocks at once. I know there might be 10 things that are moving or a dozen things that you're watching here that are falling to the downside, but you had to pick your poison and know what you wanted to get into, especially in that opening rush where so much can be going on that you have to have a bit of a focus. I will be kicking myself for trying GameStop over cost. That was obviously a mistake at this point. Could have held on to GameStop, but if you don't have a stop in that thing, it'll run you over, and it could have been at 150, right? Like, you've got to be able to take the hit.
That's it. That's exactly it. When it comes to trading, you've got to be able to take the hit. If you can't take the hit, if you take the hit and you're done, or you can't trade anymore, or you can't take as much size again a second time, odds are you're trading way too big the first time. So just be very, very smart. When it comes to trading, it's all about, yes, making money, but at the same time, capital preservation is a very, very key thing, because you need to be able to take multiple hits and still keep going. Otherwise, you're not trading at that point. You're just taking random shots, and hopefully you get lucky. And that never ends well. So trading is a very methodical approach where you deploy capital to get a return, and then you deploy it again. And if it comes out, it doesn't work in your favor, you keep going, because your approach, your strategy is what's going to build you that capital base, right? So that's what it's all about. And when it comes to setting up trades, man, NVIDIA, wow. NVIDIA, I think you were talking about NVIDIA. Was it AMD earlier today?
Well, so AMD hasn't death crossed yet.
Yeah.
NVIDIA, I have the short on the 260 break, but I'm watching for an AMD death cross in the next couple of days, I suppose.
Yeah, that 260 take though, oh man, that was good. You have that. I see that you have that. I saw it way too late. I just saw it and I'm like, let me look at other things. And then I looked at it again. NVIDIA is now at 257.50.
Wow.
Yeah, a nice little move on NVIDIA to the downside. And there's a lot of space on NVIDIA for it to go, eh?
It's a 250.
Yeah, it's a 250. There's like $10. You could easily get $10 on that short if it decided to go with the market the way it's moving.
If it goes $10, will you present it as trade of the day?
It's your trade. Why would I do it?
Because we need to get you on the big screen. Anyways, doesn't matter.
We already know. There's a couple things earlier in the chat that I was looking at. Someone says, "Oh, is Arun paying for shorts?" No, Arun's not paying for shorts. These shorts are all free. There's no way I'm stepping into any shorts. I'm not going up there and paying X amount of cents per share for shorts. That's not happening. And the second one, no, Arun's not doing trade of the day because it's just because. That's about it.
Come on, Arun. One of these days we'll get him to do it. And what is a death cross? I'll quickly show you, because you know what? I know we go through a lot of trading terms and things happen really quickly on the show, and there's never a bad question, so I don't mind. Like it's easy to find, but when the 50-period moving average, simple, crosses the 200 period to the downside, which AMD could do in the next couple of days, it's a bearish signal in the market, right? Like usually it means that bad things can happen, but it's more of like a trend change. So that's something that could happen here on NVIDIA. I'm going to tempt fate by flipping in real time to the Qs, just to, come on, load up. Like when I really want to show something, anyways, like just showing on a higher time frame, if it happens on like a major index, it can be a bigger move. Of course, when I want to show it to you, it's not going to work out there. My daily chart in a firm is not going to show you that, but I'm just flipping back to a firm so I can show you that I got the next leg out there at 43s. So we'll hit, I don't know, not looking a gift horse in the mouth here. I didn't get top on a firm, and I had to get stopped out once. Now I'm holding to see if we can, either bounce off 42s and maybe get it out there, or if it just takes out 42 clean and get down to that 40 level. Pinduo Duo was another trade that I really wanted, but like again, it has to set up, right? So it never gave this break of 46. Very similar to NVIDIA. If we break 46, that's your previous resistance point. Look at the gap fill down to 42. Fine, it didn't happen. But look where we are now. You wait patiently. It gets right to yesterday's high, is going counter trend a bit, and then I'm going to jump into it here, wait for that little bit of a curl, take it here, 48.5. You've got to give it some room. This is pull back to 47.5, to 46, 46.5. So you got to be giving it at least $1. But with the market doing what it's doing, I can't say that I'm going to be chasing any longs. There were some that are out there, but like not CCL. Not Carnival, it's Occidental. That never came in for me, so I never got the bid on Occidental for that long in oil, which that's a name that would have worked. And because it was asked, Sean, you might have mentioned, is being replaced today, and for the rest of the week, as Sean's on vacation, by Arun. Palantir is doing this weird barcode thing. It's not barcoding, like wave. I don't know what you want to call this pattern, but in 20 cents, it's gone up and down like 3 separate times here off of the open. I wouldn't do anything with this. It's basically flat on the day when the market's tanking, so some relative strength there. But it needs to break out of this little 20-cent nonsense that it's doing here. My daily still doesn't want to load. It looks crazy on the 15-minute, but it just can't seem to get out of this range. There's overhead resistance at 1350, but right now its relative strength tells me if the market puts in a V-shaped bottom, which it's trying to do right now, like that wick down, if it can come back up and break out, Palantir would be a name that you'd want through 1350, but talk to me when it actually breaks out of this range. Brendo?
All right, crazy mover so far. LBPS halts a couple of times right out of the gate this morning, one to the upside now, back to the downside. So I remember I said 8, then 9 was the top, 950 as well you could have used, but it does end up failing up there near these highs from pre-market, but back to the downside on the halt now for LBPS, guys.
Yeah, while Neil was talking there was a mistake that I had made on Nike. You may have seen me pop in for a quick short there on Nike. It was an order that was left from earlier, and I kind of just let it be because I was working some other bids, and then it just filled. So I took the 10-cent hit on, it was actually it wasn't 10 cents, it was about 15 cents or so on Nike on average. So we're going to take a hit on Nike. The only reason, it was a nice little trade earlier or setup earlier, but it's kind of completely changed around. So 50-cent hit, take the trade away and kind of walk away from it, right? It's not the trade that I wanted initially. I wanted the initial drop, which would have been nice, but given that Nike did a nice little bounce, this would have been nice. But the fact that we didn't get filled in the pre-market and then went to $1.50 or so and then bounced all the way back, at that point the trade's over because of the weight bounce back. So I just needed to pay more attention to that single order because at that point I was filled on everything except for Nike and Disney. And Disney's still good. But so I'll leave that order there, but I just completely lost track of Nike at that point. But we're going to ride these three shorts, though. Facebook, 90 cents in the money. Billy, up 66 cents in the money. And AMC, another roller coaster ride, out $1.50, now flat. Back down, up 60 cents, flat. Up 60 cents, flat.
Of course.
Down $1.50, flat. Now what? Now what do we do at this point, right? We're going to stay short. Like I said, this is going to be a long, if come back for the afternoon show, because I might still be in this in the afternoon. I might make absolutely zero on it. But at the same time, the setup is there. I'm willing to hold on to this all day. As long as I don't get stopped out and we get into a range where I can start taking profit if we were to go down. Until that happens, I'm going to stick with it. There's no management to be done on this trade until we actually get some downside movement. It's either going to make me money or I'm going to lose money. But I mean, it's a binary choice. When I say make me money, I mean go a few dollars in the money at that point. Or I'm going to walk away from it because it didn't go. That's it, right? There's nothing to be done. I'm not going to micromanage this trade at all in the middle. We're just going to let it be. We're going to ride that Facebook and Billy trades and then wait for AMC to kind of set up. And in the meantime, we're also going to get Roblox done. Roblox now south of 49 in a good way. So see if we can't get a fill on Roblox as well.
As it is already 10 o'clock, wild market. And again, let's understand what's going on here. Short because the market's going down. And we're going to get a bigger picture of that with Brennan right now for happening now. Right now for happening.
Yeah, right now, that's still over on the bell, guys. We'll come back and try that again. Hang on.
He didn't even know he was on camera. It's all good, man. So the bell shot there. I just wanted just to let you guys know. I'm going to send some positive thoughts to our main man Lucas, who actually wasn't feeling well. Had to take off. We got Maggie on the ones and twos doing a fantastic job. But Tony, I'm pretty sure he was. Guys, heard some hollering. I'm pretty sure he was trading Tesla, or at least a lot of the boys were when that 1,000 mark happened. Since then, just coming back over to Tesla. We'll get Brennan to you guys in a quick little second. I'm not back into the trade because it's already, it's made its move off 1,000. There was the break. I didn't get enough there. But now it's trying to battle, decide which way it wants to go. It's not following the market. It is a little bit stronger. And if the market makes a recovery, Tesla would be a name that you want to get into that long side. But when we have Brennan, we'll get you back to it in a quick little second there. I was able to get some out there on Pinduoduo first leg, and it's retesting that high. So I will reload this, but keep in mind on the higher time frame, the level we're really watching is up here, 49.5. Yesterday's top on Pinduoduo. Now we are ready for happening now. Let's see Brendan at the big screen.
Take two. Yeah, 10 a.m. guys, just got new home sales numbers for last month, 772 versus 805. 772,000 versus 805. So watch home builders. Here we go. Red numbers across the board so far. 0.75 for the S&P, 0.8 and 1% for the NASDAQ leading the way. Keeping our eye on crude oil, still 4.6 to the upside. Crypto's back under pressure at this point as well. It's been a pretty impressive couple of days, though, for Bitcoin back to the upside. GameStop we were talking about, along with the meme stocks in the pre-market, if you joined us. Big move back to the upside for GME, leading the way yesterday. Yeah, there's Tesla. Elon was doing his thing over in Berlin, dancing, unfortunately, again yesterday as they opened their Berlin Gigafactory. Oxy as well, pretty impressive move along with crude, guys. Back over to you.
You know, Neil, I think I saw, based on the chat's reaction, I think I solved the issue. You're looking for another guy. Tony should be on this desk. Tony should be on this desk.
Tony the Tiger.
Right? So that's something to be talked about. But I think the solution there is Tony on the desk instead of me. But we'll see where that goes.
We're not losing you.
We'll see.
Brendan mentioned Oxy. I just want to. We did get this pullback in Oxy. Now, when I wanted that dip buy off the open, I didn't get it. You made that hard top, and you're seeing it pull right back into that range, not showing the kind of strength that it was before. That's the first thing to think about here. And at this point, like I've shifted, the market was so strong for so many days in a row that eventually we're going to get this. And why did that not go to Pinduoduo? I have no idea. Okay, so I'll flip it from my quote board because I've been flipping stocks so much that it does not want to go. Pinduoduo gave another leg at 49. 49.5 is yesterday's high, so I'll keep going back to the well, sort of in front of that level at 49.5. I'll scalp some in, I'll get some out in front of VWAP, but I do intend on trying to hold this all the way down to that 46 level and just checking back in on costs. Like you'll see I'm still in cost. I have taken half the position out into VWAP, right? So there's not much to do here except, wait for it to maybe test that low and keep an eye on GameStop, the one that stopped me out this morning. So as long as that's continuing to fade, then the plan of action of getting into cost instead of GameStop is going to be back into play. And let's not forget that 125 level. Didn't quite get there. I missed both of my dip buys today, both on GameStop and Oxy. It's going to happen sometimes. Right? They both ended up running, but I didn't get it. 125 is the level that I think GameStop is where I want to be buying it. And if you're following along with the trade in NVIDIA, AMD a very similar thing. So I'm in NVIDIA on a 260 break because I like the level, but AMD putting in a double bottom as it did the old patented pop and fade. And the difference being when you break a key level like NVIDIA did, like it's just breaking those lows and a little bit weaker. And that's the thing. Like this is why we go over things from 8:30 till the open, so you can look and say, okay, well if I like the short and I got to play something for weakness, then look at the semis. But you had a significant level break here with a bigger gap fill on NVIDIA than you did on AMD, which has a 110 support level. You're not running into anything like that when you're talking about the NVIDIA trade. AMD did have that going against you there. So for now, the short's still continuing to work. And let's not forget what am I not short right now? Tesla. Tesla's up 1% in this down market. And you're seeing it again try to test these highs. Maybe I should have bought the dip at VWAP just there, but I hate going long at a 995 on something like this. And I hate taking a breakout at 110 because where do you put your stop on a 110 break? If I'm going to get long in this, it's likely to be the futures that I'm going to go off of. And anyone asking the time frames that I'm looking at, I'll show you my charts quickly. 1 minute chart, level 2s, daily chart for trends, and then the 15-minute chart. That's usually entries and exits have a lot more to do with the 15-minute for me than anything else. That's why I've sort of shifted to showing it a heck of a lot more often, because when you're holding on to these trend trades, you don't want to be too caught up with what the 1 minute chart is saying. I prefer 15. Maybe you like a 10. Maybe you like a 20. It's whatever works for you.
Yeah, somebody mentioned earlier, so I took a quick look at it.
Wow.
Like Apple defying the market. Well, Apple's a big portion of this market, and yes, it is defying the market. Apple up 0.81%, but that's not the story because the rally is like $2 and extending a trend. Let me actually give you guys a different chart. Apple taking that 170. This is the nice little look too. As long as we can stay strong above 170, I think you got to take a look at Apple on the long side with maybe a 169 stop or so. $1 in risk, but this is looking pretty good for a nice little long. I just want to make sure that it's going to hold well, right? Remember, 44.60 is still the ES level that I want to work with for potential longs. As long as I can get that, then I can go on some longs here on the futures as well. Apple being the top of those indexes, being at the top of those names or in terms of weight in these indexes. If Apple can hold this market up, from what I see here, the top names, Apple and Tesla, are essentially holding this market up from crashing further. Yeah. Even though we moved down, everything else down. Microsoft down 1.33, and then the largest loser, NVIDIA, down 2 point and change. If Apple can buy these stocks other time to actually turn around. What are you guys looking at, Tesla?
It's not just Tesla. Look, this is Tesla breaking out. Just quickly to my screen. This is Tesla breaking 110. If we can get to my screen really, really quickly here. Tesla breaking 110, and all of the shorts that I was in it's not just NVIDIA. Tesla breaks the 110 level. NVIDIA comes right back in, was cruising right back into 260. Pinduoduo, which I was in, was bouncing off field, was about to get the next leg out. Then it cruises right back toward that high. Whatever you're watching, a firm as well comes right back into VWAP. Big time bounces. Like you said, the market getting dragged up by Tesla and Apple. It's almost an understatement at this point. And now I'm thinking about this in real time. As those were all working, the Tesla long or the Apple long would have worked as a fantastic little bit of a hedge there. So I should have just punched long in that 10-10 break because I'm effectively short a bunch of other things that are in the money. Why not take a shot at something like a Tesla on that 110 break, which I had just talked myself out of?
All right. What I had to cover was Facebook. I don't like the way Facebook is reacting now that I'm starting to find some support here in front of this 4460. And then you have Apple strength, you have Tesla strength. You might get a rotation. Yes, Facebook's been doing its own thing, but at the same time, it really has been stalling around this 214. So why not take the small win when I got it? It was like 20 cents or so. As much as I like the short against the 215, the strength you're getting in the middle of this little, I guess, I don't know, what do you want to call this, a range? It's not even a range. It's a breakout north of 216 that kind of came down, but we're hitting the midpoint area and we're finding support with a strong market. Yeah, maybe it's time to kind of start rotating and find some longs. Apple is one of those names which, with the strength, relative strength, Apple, Tesla, if you can get into Tesla, if you want to play Tesla north of 1,000, is that 1016, is it? Yeah. And then Apple just took out that 170. Now it's at 170.32, but I am going to step into Apple, it seems. I'm going to put a bid down, see if I can. I'm not going to pay 170.30, but I will put a bid down, see if I can grab some longs close to 170 even.
Yeah, going to go, Brendan, a quick sec. It's time to, for me at least, to say, trim the shorts, tighten stops. Think about this as being a bit of a curl, so the names that have gotten beaten up can find levels that you like. I just got out of almost all of cost down here at the low of the day, so we'll hit one of those. But I've tightened my stop on Pinduoduo. I've got to start thinking about, okay, they'll manage to work, but that can change really quickly, and the market's starting to follow Tesla and Apple. Brendo.
Yeah, Apple pretty impressive so far. Back to the upside with the market here. Poshmark reported aftermarket yesterday was down. Bounced off 12 a couple of times there, but just went red to green there. A nice red to green move for POSH off of earnings.
POSH? Poshmark.
Wow, there's no stopping Tesla right now. If you're still watching the meme names, just to cover them, like GameStop is still below that 140. So this is a move that is all about the Apples and Teslas of the world. I will get LBPS. It reopened. If it had done something, trust me, I would have traded it, but it reopens and look at it, just kind of going sideways here. I was expecting a little bit more fireworks, maybe a retest of the high. For now, you've got a 650 to 660 support that it has a chance to bounce off of. But if you hear anything in the background, trust me, it's everyone talking about this Tesla move going absolutely nuts. Like it's surreal that I'm watching this candle in the futures, watching Tesla and Apple go parabolic, and somehow my shorts are still in the money. I've tightened the stops on them because it doesn't feel like it can last, but this is what we're looking at here. Tesla next dip, I think, is going to be a shot at buying, and I know there's other names that people are talking about here. One of them is Mullen. Mullen is interesting at 335 to 340, and if you remember from yesterday, that's sort of where it settled down after making its secondary run. So as it gets toward that 340 level, it's likely to find some resistance. But if it can consolidate into a break at 340, I think you've got room to go 340 to 360 on MULN. Just so much to cover and so much to look at. But I'm just managing the trades that have worked for me, which is that short side, and feeling like that could be coming to an end. But as I say that, both Pinduoduo and NVIDIA just went back in, a buck in the money each. So, who knows, Miss V?
Hey guys, what a day to be a trader. I hope you're having a wonderful day and profitable for sure. And I remind you, please smash the like button, guys. We have 7,000 people watching and 1,300 likes. So we would really appreciate if you spend 1 second and help us to get 2,000 likes. Back to you guys.
All right. Well, as you can see by my board, I've dumped some of these names here. Facebook and Billy, all in the money, actually. Facebook was actually, I don't even remember what Facebook was. Was it 70-something? Yeah, it was like 20 cents or so on Facebook, and then 40 cents on Billy as well. We're walking away from Billy. We're walking away from Facebook. I'm going to try to get some Apple longs here around that 170, and then we're going to hold on to the AMC has got its own thing going. So we're going to work AMC on its own. In terms of index names, I'm walking away from Facebook, obviously. Still some index influence, even though it's kind of doing its own thing today anyways. But index names is where I'm going to go with, right? So Apple, Microsoft, but Microsoft's down 1%, down $3 on the day, and it's actually, I'm not sure where the trade is on Microsoft, but at least Apple's there. If I can get the fill on Apple, we got close. But Roblox, as I mentioned earlier, I'm still going to fade Roblox on the short side. Not an index name, not a major index name, I don't think. And it's got the setup that I want. So we're going to wait for Roblox and see if we can get a short there. Apple long. See if I can find other names as well. If there's some other big index names that you guys are in, I see you guys talking about CEI and all these other names, but any index names that you guys are taking a look, there's your Roblox short, by the way. That just came in. Apart from Tesla and Apple, is there any other names that you guys are looking at that are setting up well? Not just running, but setting up well, so I can actually take a look at them as well.
Well, one that might be, and I say might, is NVIDIA off that 60. It gets halfway to that 50 level that I wanted for the 10 bucks. And maybe I should have taken $5 on the trade. That's ancient history now. You got to start thinking about if it gets back above this 260 level, I'm just going to take it off. It's take the trade out, bank the win that we've been able to get here, because if this trend reverses, what you end up having is a sort of failed breakdown. And if we take this level back out, you could be back at 64, 65. And when I see what's happening in the overall market on that reversal, like I said, tighten up some of those stops. Sure, they were working in the money for you, but when I see something like Tesla doing what it's doing, and I didn't hold 1,000 long, it's just, you got to be able to accept that, yeah, you could be in the money and you could have the shorts that worked for you, but we're getting a market reversal, and NVIDIA is likely to follow suit any second now. So you start thinking about things that have not gone yet. AMD just already broke. I think NVIDIA is doing it any second now, and then it turns into a bit of a long trade for you. If Tesla gets to 1,050, okay, fine. Would I short it? Probably yes. But that's just one of those it's gone too far, too fast type of moves. And I know a lot of people are talking about sell Z here. It's holding 3 like an absolute charm. And there's going to be a trade-off of this 3 level, and probably in either direction. But if you can catch, and I haven't seen the bid yet. I'm waiting to be able to see if there's size on the bid at sell Z. And if there is, I just go long at 2 to 5, try to catch a move back into VWAP, set that tight little stop idea. And it might take all afternoon or all lunchtime for something like that to settle down. But it is on the radar because it's holding that level really, really well.
Yeah, I'm looking for more names. Nike, which we had it earlier, took a 10-cent hit accidentally, and that one we're out of. Futures now, okay, so with the futures, nice little bounce off that 65 area. 60 is still the level I want to work with. So if I were to mark off the 60 area here, this would be that. As long as we can get a move north of 95, I would think close to the evens, and then I put a bid down probably somewhere around the 85s or so. So need to keep going and then come down a little bit to give me a fill, and I'll use that as a long against the 44.60 stop level. This level was in play for yesterday as well. There was a nice little long there yesterday around that 78 area, which I grabbed. So now see if we can actually get another trade as well against that 60 level to the upside. Looks like the market's setting up for an upside move, so why not grab some longs as well? Brendan.
Another one getting some social media attention here, guys. This is a EV charging station, a Lego. I mean, you can throw it in this group as well, it would appear, because we made a huge move to the upside, recent addition to the NYSE. Huge move to the upside yesterday late in the day. Just halted higher on monster volume there for ALLG.
Halted. Yeah, I know some people were talking about ALLG in the pre-market, and there were so many of those movers to go over. It's indicating a $12 open. That's basically flat right now, and the only thing I'll point out to you on the higher time frame is if it gets above that price, you're looking at this 13 level, which has a bit of a double top. But right now, it's indicating a flat open for this name. I was just able to, I just got out of Pinduoduo. I said we're going to tighten the stops on the shorts and just not even trying to fight this market. So I tightened the stop in the short of Pinduoduo. At this point, it's more important to bank the profits. Don't turn red on the names that were working when you get a screaming move like this, and be able to adjust on the fly, because Tesla feels like it's going to 1,050. And when we go over our frustrating stocks of the day, reversing the long on Tesla and not holding it is definitely going to be the frustrating stock for me. But the next thing up is going to be that 1,050 level. If you're watching any other EV name, like look at what's happening with something like a NIO. Like NIO is just like it's at 21, down 2.5% in the midst of this move. So, sort of on the lines of something that hasn't gone with this market yet that's still giving you a reasonable entry. NIO would fit that bill. Do I like it a little bit tighter to 21 even? Fine. Does that mean that you can only nibble into it now? Okay, that might be true, but either way, I feel like the divergence that I'm seeing happen makes almost no sense to me. Like I cannot see a way that NIO is going to lag this forever. I can't go all in off of this level here, like 21.25. I think it has to maybe even retest 21 to get a full position on. But even just getting back to the highs at this point would make some sense. So grabbed into a long trade NIO, was just looking for something that had a chance to still go. Cost, I'm still in it because I don't think it cares what the market did, but I did manage to get most out here at the bottom. Still going to hold on as long as GameStop isn't ripping faces off, then cost entry, cost holding the short is going to make some sense to me. But wow, Tesla. The story today is Tesla, it's Apple, it's that V-shaped bottom that you saw in the market. Sometimes it just takes one or two names to carry the day. That's what's happening in Tesla. No way. If Tesla gets to 1050 and NIO doesn't take me to the high, that high at 22, then I don't know what's going on, man. Because like for Tesla to make a $50 move like this and carry the market and NIO's not going to go up, that doesn't make sense to me. It has to go somewhere. I could be wrong about this, but I'll probably take a shot at Tesla shorting off 1,050 if we get there. I'm kind of hoping that we do because that'll drag NIO with it, but at this point it seems almost impossible that it could.
Like you said, all it takes is two names, especially the way that the indexes are built. Well, specifically the NASDAQ index is built. All it takes is two names. Apple, the largest one, up. Tesla, I think the third or fourth largest one, up 3%. And everything else in the top not 10, but top 6 or 7 that actually matter are down. All it takes is two names, and the NASDAQ index is only down 0.48 out of all of this, and the NASDAQ index is only down 0.48. So clearly, Apple and Tesla are going to hold the market until the other ones can catch up, and if that happens, this market's taken off to the upside. So this is what's happened with the big market. Brendan's got small cap recap to see what's happened there.
So much action this morning, guys, regardless of where you're looking. Let's take a quick second, check out some small caps here. I mentioned this one just before the open. I was talking about 8, 850, and then 9 working to the upside on the resistance side of things. Obviously, it tests all of those and then some. We get a halt to the upside around 850, reopens, rips right through 9. There was no real support once it got above 875 to 880. If you go back and look at a level 2 on a tape or something, you can see there's very low liquidity up in this area once it did get up there. So that kept me in the trade, but you did have to structure it knowing that this was going to be the top, 9 to 950 even, and then we're back down at 650 now. So 50 cents to 75 cents risk. You're making $1.50, $2 to the downside. So nice move back to the downside there for LBPS. RZLT was another one that was up in the pre-market on positive data. 460, pretty clear line in the sand there on the resistance side in the pre-market. We're down to 360 at this point for RZLT. And AMC, I'll give you my take. I tried it short initially on the flush through 850, flipped that long on the way back through 19. That gives you a nice move back up to 20.5, guys. Back over to you.
Yeah, I'm just looking behind me. I'm like, who's everybody? I don't know these guys.
It's all you guys.
It's all the traders coming back. Remember, I'm never here, so I don't even know if these guys were here for a while now. There we go. There's Apple filled there. ALG, big story. It opened. I saw it open, and then I'm like, ooh, look at that 12 level. Maybe I want to go long there. And no, I was just like, maybe, right? Maybe it doesn't work in a market like this because ALG open, and this is what you got when it takes off to the upside. Let me get the NASDAQ.
Stock is nuts.
No, it's absolutely nuts. It's New York name. It closed again. It halted again at 1312, but it opened, and this is, let me get the 1-minute chart up for you guys because you can see how nuts it was. So it opened. Quick move down to 1160. Took the 12s. That's where I'm like, maybe I want this. Nope. And here we are halted at 13.12, and the projected opening price is also 13.12. So nothing's really changed, but for the time being, there's not enough volume on this just yet. I'm sure that'll change as we get closer and closer to the open or the reopen of the halt. But for the time being, ALG absolutely nuts, from $10 to $13 in a few minutes, around from 10.11 to now 10.23. So 12 minutes for us to go from 10 even to 13 and change. Crazy. There's a lot to be done here.
Yeah,
sure.
There's a lot to be done. But the one thing that I didn't move the stop on, it was the face slap on all the shorts there. Like, it was cruising 5x in the money on NVIDIA, and then that stopped out just above flat. Pinduoduo was working, and then that stopped out when the market turned. But when it came to a firm, like, remember we had taken the reload through 44 when it started to come down and curled through, got a bunch of it out in front of the low of the day. So at that point, we're shooting 1 for 2 on a firm. But the level that got established there was 45. So when someone asked, what am I doing with 45? I'm waiting for 45 for the reload. My stop was up there the whole time. And then I got the curl on 45. I'll take some out in front of VWAP because you better bank some profits. But guess what's happening again? I'm going to show you NEO for a quick second, and then I'm just going to do this where I drag Tesla down. Move NEO. Okay, now I can't move NEO over. But anyways, NEO was right there, bouncing off of VWAP, and Tesla making that big move up to 10.35. Tried to pull back, shallow pullback. So if it consolidates here and breaks out, that's what I'm kind of hoping can drag NEO to the upside. It's hard to chase Tesla long up here. But if it does want to continue to run, I got a proxy in NIO. That's just the way I chose to play it. I like playing off support and resistance. So if I can play off a support in NEO while this runs and the market continues this bull move, then NEO has just so much room to play that catch up, and that's what I like. So I'm not even on the offer yet. I need to clear VWAP, maybe get past 50. Then we can start thinking about taking some out closer to that high of the day. 22.10 was yesterday's high. I know I threw out 22 because it's an even number, but it is 22.10 that was NEO's high yesterday.
NEO's high. I'm just looking for names that I can potentially get into. Remember, top index names, right? These are the ones that are going to control the NASDAQ index. So we've got Apple at the top. Apple, Microsoft, Apple, I think 12%. And then Microsoft sitting there around 11%, and then we fall off a little bit. Amazon, Tesla, Google, NVIDIA, Facebook, we had shorts earlier, which we dumped for a profit. Now it's actually starting to turn. And then we got a Broadcom, AVGO, and then Cisco as well, rounding out the top a little bit. All of that, roughly 40-something% of the NASDAQ. Just those names, out of 100, just those names control north of 40%. So that's all you really need to pay attention. If you want to know which stocks control the NASDAQ, that's it. So those are the ones I'm looking at. As I see, NASDAQ is down from which was as far as 1.2-something% to the downside. Now only 0.5% to the downside. I'm looking to see which ones are actually turning around. I'm looking for Microsoft. I'm looking at Amazon, Tesla. Well, I'm not going to trade Amazon or Tesla, but Microsoft, quite the turn here from 298 to 302. So that's got some strength. That's helping the market. I think north of 303 on Microsoft could open up a trade to the upside or towards the highs. So the way it's been moving right now, let me show you guys the Microsoft chart here, the 5-minute at least. So what I'm looking for us to clear is this 303 area. Why? Because this is kind of where we spent a lot of time in the afternoon yesterday. So there's probably some built-in volume that we got to get through. Once we can get through that, I can actually use that previous volume as support for a move to the upside. Would I go for the short? ALLG's open north of 50. Would it really open at 1350? Wow.
Did it really?
Opened at 1350, and now it's about to halt at 1540. Okay then. All right, anybody wants to get in, you can get a fill. Oh, no, it just fell another $1. Sorry. You know what? I'm talking about this, but you guys need to see this in in person, because it was about to halt at 1540 and then completely dropped $1 as they took the bid, and now they're looking to reload and maybe take a shot towards the highs again. I don't know. There's a lot happening here that this is not my game at all. I don't need to waste money trying to play this game, because that's not how I make my money. Let me just do my AMC short, Apple long, and hopefully that Roblox comes in. But ALLG on fire with the opens, and now it's heading to the downside. Watch it halt to the downside if they get enough volume coming in through that side. I wonder if have you checked the shorts on ALG?
I'm literally checking it right now. I will ring Reggie for the first leg out on NEO there. I was able to get the first 20 cents of that move. It then pulled back in. I'll look for a reload on that, but I'm just confirming, I think like 36 cents a share on ALLG. Yeah, but everyone, it just went $10 to 15, right? So
fair.
like that's a pretty big move. If it pulls back, you can start thinking about like that double top break, the first halt price at 12 even. Like that's a level that it can certainly get back down to on any kind of a flush, whether that's from here, the current 15 level that it's testing, or whether it's sort of breaking down through 14 even. Now, I like 15 better. A, it's a round number. B, after 2 halts, you've seen some selling start to come in. So, give me a break. I didn't actually get them. Looks like in the time that it took me to try to get the locates, it's unavailable now. So we can't even get locates on ALLG.
There's only a small amount for when we
Looks like.
request it through the broker. There's only so much the broker has for us, and the company is fairly large. So if someone else in the company wants a piece of this action, and they take it before you do, hey, speed matters. And in this case, Neo's a little too slow.
That's cold. Well, you know what though? It saved me money because when it's unavailable like that, that also probably means it's going to be a bit of a crowded trade. So I just got on the bid in front of VWAP on Affirm again. But that can mean it's a crowded trade. So that curl that looked like it was happening just got blown out again. And now you're making another move to the upside. So guess what? I bet you some of those shares will become available at 20 bucks, and then I'll get a better shot at it at that particular price. For now, just going to go back to what we have. Neo bounced off VWAP, like we said. We're able to get the first leg out at 21.50. It's now trying to consolidate. I just looked for anything that made that V-shaped bottom, found a support level, and is trying to make a move back to the upside. Because at this point, we're halfway back from that 1% down on the NASDAQ, the ES, just barely that 0.5%. If you make a charge to some of those highs, what can still go, right? Now, I had NVIDIA to the short side earlier, and I'm looking at this now. It's like, why? Why was I not just simply getting into NVIDIA? That's such a good level, that 60 level, I could have just gone right back towards it, but in the other direction. So that would have been lower hanging fruit. Now, why Neo? Because I was watching Tesla. And I just thought, okay, if there's an EV name that's usually a momentum play, look for that to the upside. But the simpler, lower hanging fruit would have been simply reversing on NVIDIA itself, which I could have done. Now, Neo's in the money, so I shouldn't complain too much, but I definitely missed an opportunity there. In meme land, which seems like a bit of an afterthought now with what's going on in Tesla and the market rallying back and with Apple dragging things, costs, volume dwindling. I'm going to give it one more shot to try to break the low of the day there. And I am keeping an eye as well on GameStop here because obviously that's the one that's leading the charge. Cost is super weak. GameStop's going back toward those highs and cost is at the bottom. I'm going to cover costs if GameStop takes out the high just because it's likely to drag it up. But clearly, the air has come out of cost. That was nothing but a sympathy play anyways. Brendo?
Just watching crude oil here, guys. The weekly U.S. inventory is just out. 2.5 million drawdown, 2.5 million barrel drawdown versus a small build that was expected there. So heads up on crude. Doesn't look like it's moving too much. Watching SFET as well. Huge volume coming back into safety group. In the meantime, though, let's get a check on how things over in Europe are shaping up. Miss V is watching what's going on over there.
Hey, Brendan, European markets are negative. Banks are among worst performers, with SEB down around 8% as it traded its ex-dividends. Back to you.
Yeah, trying to hold higher here for U.S. markets as well. There was a minor spike, I guess, on crude futures there on that number, but right back to the downside, guys.
We're just looking at ALG, and this is just... it's very tempting to go for these longs because of what Neil mentioned, which was, hey, shorts are very hard to come by right now, which means there's a lot of, which we had shorts available and they're very hard to come by now, which says there's a lot of shorts being taken, which means we're not the only ones doing it.
Yeah.
So at what point do you get that flush? And this is exactly what you need to keep this ball rolling, right? This like kind of halt, move up as more and more shorts get out of the way. Hence, squeeze, as people would hope for. AMC still flat. Not today. Not for now. I don't say not today, but not for now, at least. It looks like we're just going to go sideways in meme land, as Neil mentioned. But ALLG attempting to find a way to get some shorts off the table here. Slowly but surely, we are now moving towards 18. We're at 1765 on the top end. And a couple attempts to halt around 17, backed off. Kind of reset the timer a little bit. Now here we are working 18s. We're going to find another level where it's going to halt or attempt to halt maybe 1770 something. I don't know. I don't know how long it's been since we moved through that 17 even. But anyways, here we are working these 18s, trying to get to these 18s, trying to get another halt going. But it is slowing down a little bit for now. But again, as long as shorts are on the other side of this is going to keep going. So that's what we're going to watch out for. Apple up 4 cents, AMC down 4 cents, Roblox out $1. Roblox still fine though. The setup is much, it's got a much larger time frame. This is what I'm looking for on Roblox here against this against this 50. I went short here, south to 49 against the 51s. So we'll give it $2. We'll see what it does. But I do have some resistance I can work with on the short side. As ALG attempting to hold at 95.
So what I think is happening, just anecdotally watching it here, every time it gets to a halt band, there's enough profit takers that it can't seem to actually halt to the upside. So it's slowing down a little bit here. That's a sign of it. If it halts one more time below 20, I think that's going to be the sign. If I get the shorts, we'll get them locates. But
25
yeah, 25 is now trying to halt. I just got another leg out of a firm as the market continues to try to grind higher. Got to be taking profit on these shorts if they're still working for you. And as for NEO, I know ALG is about to go into that halt. This time it's going to, yeah, there it did. It just halted at 18.25. But I got to show you Tesla. Tesla putting in another nice little flag here and attempting to break out through the top. I think this is likely, if it can get through here, get to 1040, you're going to drag, and we're already back to where we were, that overnight resistance level or consolidation level on the NASDAQ, and the ES is trying to get back to that 4490 level, and Tesla looking to break out. I've got NEO because it's got so much room off of the bottom, and the next thing we'll probably be getting into, well, hopefully I should say, because I can't guarantee locates will open up. I'm guessing if ALG breaks 20 even, they'll probably get a higher price for pay for shorts, and we'll be able to get some of those. But 20, 25, that's what I'm starting to think about for ALG. Brendo?
This safety group, guys, back to the downside a little bit here. There was more volume that came in there at 118. But another one, if you remember, going back long enough, SFET did pop up during the original meme craze on the short side as well for this one.
FET. Safety. Yeah, okay, yeah, that's right, it did. I actually forgot about that. So yeah, safety group for sure. I'm just double checking now. It's like the fourth time I'm going to put in a request for those shorts. And if you're watching GameStop here, essentially like this move right now, like where it just pulled off the highs, it feels as if some of these other things are going crazy, quality names like a Tesla are going crazy, that the air would come out of GameStop. And that's the reason for holding on to the cost trade, because if this retests the lows, you can pretty much imagine where cost is going to go to, right? Like it's going to break 950 if GameStop retests the lows. And then I don't see why you're not at least getting back to previous resistance at $9. So that's what I'm holding out for at this point. Can you get back down into $9? And GameStop's likely going to lead the way. And tell me, the price of locates just doubled. I think this is what happens, right? Like the reason you couldn't get any is because they were repricing it because everyone wanted into the trade.
Yeah.
So they double the price, and we'll see if there's actually locates available now on ALLG.
Everybody and the higher this goes, the more people want the short, and the more people that want the short, the higher they can price it, right? So essentially, what happens is we have like a little locator tool that tells us, hey, we want submit a request for X amount of shares because we have an easy to borrow list, means automatically load in onto our system. We can short without having to ask for anything. But then certain names that just pop off, like ALLG, we got to submit something saying, hey, we want shares in this, give us a quote. And these ones, and this is why I don't pay for shorts, you commit to the payment of the short before you even trade with it. So you have to pay up front, regardless of what it is. Right now it's like 87 cents a share.
Yep.
So whatever, let's just take you, let's just say you got to pay 100 shares, right? $87. You're giving up $87
the way to think about
the shares.
The way to think about it is whatever your stop is or what your out might be. So let's say you're taking a 20 short and you short like 19.50. Well, you add like 90 cents to that. Yeah. However, if you short it 2 or 3 times, then that cost comes down because you can use it multiple times. But that's the way I think about it. It's just an extra $1 worth of risk on the trade, which the higher it goes, the more reasonable that does become. Now, it can be too much at some point. I see a lot going absolutely nuts. And one of them, and if I have to say this like one more time, then I'm just gonna volume, volume, volume. And look at this volume spike on Pinduoduo. So remember I tightened the stop on Pinduoduo when not a firm, and I'm holding on to a firm $1 in the money? Sometimes when that cautionary sense or whatever whatever is telling you that this is not the short to be holding on to, even if it's working for you. A lot of times that is screaming for a reversal at a key level. And you'll see what happened for Pinduoduo there. But it blew through, not just that, but it blew through 50 and went right to the 50 period moving average. So now that it's up here at 52, 53 at the 50 period, yeah, it goes right into the next level where obviously it would set up for a short again. But the next thing on my mind is going to be in about 30 seconds or so when I expect ALLG to open up. It's indicating a lower open, although I will say this much about these indicated open prices. Anecdotally, I feel like they've been a little bit less meaningful until you get right to the open time. Like it's almost as if people are waiting until closer to that time, that 5 minute, to put their orders in, and that's why the indicated open hasn't been as accurate as in the past. But it's indicating 1750, which would be down.
Well, that's one way to hide your order flow, right? If you know the timer is 5 minutes on a 5-minute volatility halt, you send it with 2 seconds left. Not going to give enough time for like systems like ours to actually show an accurate opening price, right? So we're going to have, right now showing 1750 with 27,000 shares to print. But again, that's as we've seen, it's not going to be that accurate going into it. All right, back to our trades here. Roblox still down $1. Oh, there, opened at.
It did open down.
1750.
It did open down.
Did it open at 1750?
Yep. That's what it looks like.
There you go. And now heading to the downside. Neil's got the shorts, so he's.
No,
gonna
I don't. I paid for it.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean I'm in the shorts.
Okay, so he's paid for the shorts. He's paid for the shorts. So that could be quite the move to the downside. Now with a down halt, if they don't get enough buy momentum, you're going to see a lot of selling coming in at some point. I would imagine close to 15 as well. So that's something to watch on the downside. If you have the short, great. If you don't have the short, what do? Do you find a bid as it goes right back to 17 even after bouncing from 16? I don't even know. You know what? This is just entertaining to watch, not necessarily spend money on, because this can get very expensive very quickly. So I'm just going to go back to Apple. Hey, Apple, how you doing? 17 cents in the money. Great. AMC sideways, now 20 cents out. That's, like I said, with AMC, that story is remains to be seen. Somebody was asking me earlier, hey, what's the reason for the AMC short? It's the daily. The AMC daily, given what we did overnight, shows me enough action in this 19 to 20 area that makes me say it's worth the risk to short. That's the only reason I'm short, right? Against the 21s, there's enough sell-side action for the last few months up here that warrants a short. We've got the setup this morning. Why not take the shot? Right? Do I care all this other stuff that's happening? Technicals are technicals. I'm going to do what I see that has worked in the past. So let's take a shot on the short side of AMC. And it's pretty much done absolutely nothing in terms of movement. Well, up to this point, there's been a lot of movement. We were down up 60 cents, down $1.50, all that stuff, and now we're right back to flat, right? There's a lot of up and down, and now we're just right back to going sideways on AMC. Are we ready for Brendan, guys? All right, let's go to Brendan at the big screen.
Hey guys, we'll have a look at the overall market here. I'll show you a board that's basically the exact opposite of what we saw this time yesterday. So everything was positive, and then we saw energy a little bit weak. Today, not the case. Oil back to the upside here, so energy stocks catching a nice rally off of that. Resource stocks, some of the metal names coming back to life again today as well. Nucor, Mosaic there, the fertilizer as well. CLF I saw in there as well. So resource stocks and some of the energy names, the big movers. That's Tesla, 3.3% in positive territory. It's worth noting some of the other automakers not having a good day. Both Ford and GM to the downside so far. General Mills down there, 3.5% off of earnings. Everything else basically across the board in negative territory, including healthcare and tech stocks that are leading to the downside. Once again today, Moderna standing out there, 3.7. RMD reported 9% to the downside. There's Adobe, 7.5% to the downside. I just checked Micron, 2.6 lower today. AMD is actually about 2% on the high side. So nice day for individual semiconductor names. Some of the CEOs, though, in Washington testifying in front of a Senate panel hearing today. So heads up for chip names if you are watching some of the chip names, guys. 0.4 to the downside right now. Back over to you.
Yeah, and obviously the chip makers were in play for us this morning, but you saw the rally that happened in the market. There was nothing I could do about what you saw. And it was a great level on not AMD, but NVIDIA, and we had to take that trade out. There's just no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It'll be 1 for 2. So I guess we'll call it for now a spare, and I'm probably jinxing it. The first shot was in front of 17 on ALLG when we paid for the short. They had the nice little tight stop in here, and again, you might want to give it to the high of the day. I'm not giving up 10% on a counter trend short. I don't like trading that way, so I'm not going to do it. But then it retests the high. You see it give that wick top, rejecting the top. I was able to add to it there. I got 80, essentially mid 80s both times. So 88, and then I think 83 was the other price that I got to the short. I just took some out in front of 17. I got bids at the 1650 level where there was this consolidation that I shorted before. See, I like this consolidation there, consolidated there briefly, so I'll get some out in front of it. And then I got some out in front of, I'll get some out in front of 16. The last quarter of the trade, I'm going to try and hold to see if it can't flush all the way back into $13. Like that, this secondary haul price there. So hopefully we can get a bigger move. I've already just taken a buck out of it, and we'll see if we can get a little bit more. But remember, we paid it all to be able to short. So I'm hoping we can have multiple trades on ALLG. And that's why holding some for at least $3 or $4 makes some sense here, because the move could be gigantic if this is the top at that 1850. Brendo?
All right, remember, guys, the ALLG is on the charging side of things in the EV space. There's a couple other ones to consider in that same kind of area. CENN on the NASDAQ, still big-time volume on that one. Also, this DRTS, I just noticed as well. Huge volume spike up to 13 there. This is also in the charging end of things for EVs, guys.
LG. Yeah, if you
it's
guys
like
saw
that,
me,
eh?
Yeah, if you guys accidentally,
like
if
that,
you guys saw me there for a split second there, I was not split second. It was unnerving here. ALG, I was trying to flip stocks. I was trying to look at Nvidia for potentially a 260 short, and I hit enter because I thought I had typed in the ticker. Turns out that I had pressed enter to get shares. So I was accidentally long at some weird price, an average price of 16.96. So a bunch of different crosses there. And then we were sitting about 20, 30 cents, and you know how this thing moves, right? I was like, oh, I just want to get out. I don't want to be in this. I didn't want to trade this in the first place. I just wanted to look at it. So could have gotten expensive, made a whopping 2 cents on this, walk away from it. I'm happy. The reason I want to look at Nvidia, though, on the short side, Nvidia is now attempting to work that 260 area, which is the same level Neil was shorting earlier. And if you look at the overnight, going back a few days, this is that area we're rejecting. So this is starting to make me think, hey, you know what? Shorts could be on the table very, very soon on Nvidia. Pretty much the same short that Neil had earlier this morning. If he still got, he's out of it. I might try to jump in and take that short now if I can get it. Oh yeah, of course. Now LG wants to take off to the upside, but again, that was more for entertainment, just to watch it, not to actually trade it. Nvidia is the one I want to pay attention to on the short side. As the futures come back in now towards 75, we're kind of boxed in here on the futures, right? I'm looking for either a long north of, it's not going to be a long north of 95, but if we can get above 95, I'll throw a bid down. Or we break through that 60 level and then we work shorts on the sell side there. So if this is how we're going to play the game, I think now I can start to see some names that were strong that are getting weaker. So let's see if we can grab some shorts here on Nvidia being one of them, which was around a key level, which is that 260 area.
So two things. One, I'm going to punch out of Neo here because I just saw Tesla just did this. If we can throw my chart up real quickly, Tesla just did this. It broke that top end consolidation support, so it's no longer in that breakout run. So going to get out of the Neo trade, was able to get flat there, and that's the thing. If it's lagged a little bit, it's in front of support and it's not going to pull back as far. While that was going on, partly wanted to manage ALLG. I see what's up, Arun. Go to the long side. That retested the top there at 1850, 1825 or so. I was able to get a reload at 18 even, and then I was able to quickly hop on the bid here in front of 17s. It ran away from that 17 bid. I was about to get filled. Ignore like a dark pool wick down here because that print never happened down in 1550. It ran away from the 17 bid, so that reload wasn't able to scalp out. And it looks like it's trying to take out the top there. So Arun went long, and it feels like that's going to be the right call here. If it breaks and stops me out, I'll look for the 20 level. That'll be the next level to play. It's just psychological at that point. It's just an even number. That's what I would go for. But that's what you have to be able to do. You've got to be able to take the stop out if it does come. And there was a question about what type of stop I use. If you're at Day Trade the World, if you see my stop, This line is actually the limit price because it's still triggered by the high of the day, but it's a limit price and it's a direct edge A stop. I can use a script stop. That actually wouldn't show up. Yeah. It sort of sits on my script orders if I used a script stop, and you wouldn't actually see my order up there. But all of my executions out, I'm using limit keys, so I'll cross up. I don't actually use market orders ever. I have them set up, but I prefer aggressive limit orders to get in and out of positions when I'm trying to remove liquidity. Just my experience, I don't like stop orders. I had bad experiences with stop orders years and years ago, and I will never use them again if I can avoid it.
Yeah, the thing with market orders on think about what you're doing with the market order. It's give me my shares at any price you're willing to give me. Any price you're willing to give me.
Yeah, wait till it happens to you.
Yeah, that's a very dangerous statement to send out into the market and then actually get filled. I've used, again, like everyone else, they're like, hey, you know what, let me just use the market order. And some of the worst possible prices you can get are given to you because of the way they're executed, right? Because the rules attached to market order. So it's better off using an aggressive limit than it is to use a market order. Aggressive limit is just, just throw it not way outside, but within a band. I think our limit is like 3% or something.
I think it's depending on price. So like for the majority of stocks we trade, I think it's 3%.
Oh, is it?
But I feel like it's different if it's cheap enough. I could be wrong about that,
but yeah, just throw an aggressive limit. That's just safer for all parties involved. You're not going to get some absolutely stupid price which then you have to request to break, which is a whole complicated process. So just use a limit order, which as far as you're willing to pay, right? At least that way, if you get the fill, you know what, I was willing to pay that high. That's fine. But I'm just going through the chat. We got some jokers in here. Is Arun running human.exe today? He might be. I don't know. And the only reason you caught me off guard is because the ALLG trade was not supposed to happen. It kind of threw my programming for a loop.
It's a winner if you had it.
It doesn't matter. It wasn't meant to be taken. It was just a complete accident. I don't care. My whole thing is if I'm taking trades, they're trades that like
When did you go long?
17-17 pretty much. 17-17. If I'm going to take trades, they're going to be trades where I can, justify the risk, take the shot. I know where my exit points are. Like if AMC were to fail at 21, I understand why. Like it's fine. I'm not going to be upset by it. But I'm not going to take trades and be like, oh, let's just hope this works. And then all of a sudden it's, oh no, it doesn't work.
I'm just going to throw this out there for a second. As ALLG stops out through the high of the day there, 17-17, I was actually on the bid at 17-12 below that. So when 17 actually held up, like that was really, really good maybe it doesn't matter on the chart. And again, if you don't want to trade, you shouldn't take it. And if you get in accidentally, you should always get out. But that was a pretty good entry. 20. There was a buyer up at that 17 level in front of. So if you're able to get that fill, that's exact fill that couldn't quite come in on the reload. And now you're getting to that 20 level. 1966 is not quite close enough. If anything, I would almost rather see it break 20 and come back down through, because the trade that worked to the short side was after it took out 17, retested the pre-market high, failed and came back down. Like that's actually the trade that worked out. So a similar thing at 20 would be what I'm looking for.
At this point, now I may intentionally take a trade on ALG just because 20 is going to be such a round number with the amount of stops and the amount of given that we we hesitated around that 18 even for so long, that tells me there was shorts building a position around there, right? So now if we were to take 20 and stops are going to go off, and if stops go off north of a round number, we could easily just break, halt, gap open, and continue to move. So now I'm justifying the risk on this. We'll keep an eye on this one. We'll definitely it's getting juicier and juicier for the long, not because it's going up, because the sheer reason that we spent so much time around 18 building shorts, right? So we're hesitating around these 1960s there. I'll keep an eye on it. I care more about my NVIDIA trade than I do about my of this thing here, but definitely still looking for NVIDIA potential shorts. Not convinced just yet, but market's still on the table for some shorts. We could have just easily have rotated here. If you look at the S&P here, we could have trend was still the sell side. We needed to get north of 95 to go long, and then we just kind of bounced up strong. and then we're kind of rotating over.
Just before we go to Brendan here, what I'm thinking is going to try to be pretty simple with NVIDIA because it's right back at the 260 level. I just kind of feel like if it retakes it here, get below VWAP, that could be the entry point for me. But watch out as we say that for shorts because Tesla just made a bounce and is trying to retest the high as well. So Tesla's still showing some strength. If this rolls back over on a lower high, I think it drags the market with it, needless to say. Yeah. We haven't touched crypto at all. And we're going to now with Brendan with Money Talks.
Yeah, another move to the downside today, coming off of big rally yesterday. For some of these, they're negative, but only just 0.8, 0.4, and 0.4 there for Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Ripple. It's all about the US dollar showing strength again today. That's the Canadian dollar, also very strong over the past couple of days, but wanted to highlight the fact that we did test lower this morning. Big time reversal underway right now, even with the DXY showing strength. So back in positive territory for the CAD, coming back towards 80 cents versus the USD. Euros lower, British pound lower on the strength for USD. Japanese yen and Swiss franc both negative territory as well. Was watching the Russian ruble because, yeah, I just mentioned to Miss V, we got back above 1 penny for the ruble, guys. Back over to you.
A penny? Yeah, that's...
Yeah, we're just looking at ALG where we're trying to debate. Obviously, you see, I didn't get the long before they broke it. And then both of us are looking at potentially, will this fail? Ooh. This 20 break, will it fail? Because that opens the door for some shorts. But I mean, I wanted to participate in this before participating. But I mean, I was hesitating big time. And that also makes me think I shouldn't be even trading this.
The halt band on this right now is 41. 41's now on the bid. It's trying to halt upside at 41. Like I was sort of geared up for the 20, like a 20 failed break. And that's what I wanted for the short. It's now tried to halt at 41 3 times by my count. And just consolidating. So all that's happening is it goes into, why is that still on NIO? Give me a break. It goes into the halt band, and then once it gets to 15 seconds, if it stays at that price, it can't go any higher. It can't print 42 here. If it stays there for 15 seconds, then it halts. So when I say fake halts, all I really mean is it hits the halt band price, it pops on the bid, you see people stacking up. That's when it stacks the bid like that, that's people trying to cross the spread and getting repriced to 41 or simply sitting on the bid. And when it goes there, a lot of times people will take that opportunity to take profit. And now my chart's frozen. To take some profit. And that's why I was having some trouble breaking out. I know, but the instruction is right. You know what's happening. But anyways, yeah. So it's trying to go on that halt, and people use that to take profit, not wanting to get caught in a 5-minute or 10-minute halt. So that's all you're seeing on ALLG. Right now there's nothing going crazier because that chart isn't working. I'll just go right back to these charts. Now that we've halted up here, there's no failed break for the curl at 20 even. Next level up, $25. It gets pretty simple at this point. So, I'm managing the shorts that are still working for me, which is cost, which is going to be obviously a firm as well. And then it's ALLG. It's what's moving. It's what's hot. If Tesla can retest the top, I don't mind trading that as well. Oh, hit enter too fast, and there you go. I don't mind trading Tesla off the high as well now that it's put in a bit of top. But Tesla making a lower high, if it falls back into VWAP, it's dragging this market with it. That's why I'm not really on the bid for either of the two shorts. I'm looking to hold them for much lower.
It halts at 21.41. Okay. Can't do anything about that now. That's gone.
17 long, bro.
Accident, though, right? Fix your accident. If there's an accident, you accidentally get into a position that you weren't thinking of, don't hold out hope that it's going to work in your favor. Just clean up the issue and move on. But NVIDIA, remember, we're looking for shorts on NVIDIA south of 260, I was thinking. But the strength after that move south of 260, that's the wrong chart. NVIDIA is going to be this one. And yeah, so I was looking for some strength here as we took out 260. I mean, strength meaning strength on the sell side, so weakness, I guess. As we kind of reapproach that 260 area, nope, right back to 261. So that's going to be off the table. No shorts there. We're going to be left with our 3 positions we've got. Roadblocks from earlier this morning. AMC from pre-market, still from pre-market, now up 10 cents. Apple, 12 cents in the money. Futures bouncing off that 75 area. I mean, at this point, this market has done absolutely nothing. Market, S&P 500, has done absolutely nothing. Trend down to open the day, 66 to 88, back to 70 and change now, bouncing to 80. after quite the move last week, we have gone quiet, to say the least, and deservedly so, right? Because this market's done a lot in a few days, so time to take a little break. And in the meantime, we'll go to Brendan.
Hey guys, what a wonderful day. I hope you found many profitable opportunities. And I remind you, please smash the like button. We need just 100 more likes to get 2,000 of them. Please join Prad and me to continue this crazy, interesting day. And happy National Puppy Day, everyone. I know, I was thinking.
Look, I'm not, everyone knows, like basically everybody on the team has a dog except for myself. So I feel like that graphic should have either just been everybody's or Miss V's that she got reunited with, which, if you don't know the story, it took a while, and it was a little bit, it was heart tearing. Like, again, I don't have a puppy, but I've got a kid, and being separated is not an easy thing. So glad that you're able to celebrate National Puppy Day with yours, Miss V. Before we get out of here, because Miss V has to run 2 minutes until we send you guys to Trader Prad and Valeria. But Pinduo Duo, I said reset at the 50-period moving average. That's where it is right now. And if you're wondering why I'm not in the trade, and don't get me wrong, like this is a stock that I'm looking at right now, as well as ALGG. I want to see it break down out of this consolidation, so either through 5180 or make one more test. Like maybe you give a chance at a wick top, like breaking this 52 again, putting in one of these nice little wick candles, rejecting the breakout, and then coming back to the downside. You don't always have to sit in the trade. You can just wait for the next shoe to drop. And that's what I want to do here. And I feel like if you're going, after the V-shaped bottom that we had, I just feel like being a little bit more patient or picky with the entries for the shorts. Either get it as it's breaking back down or trap some longs as you get a bit of a breakout to another level and get a wick top. So that's my idea for Pinduo Duo as we await ALGG and its impending open, which of course will happen 30 seconds after we throw you guys to the midday show, Market Movers.
Of course, but Prad's on it. Prad's looking at it, I'm sure. He'll talk about that. Right, Prad? First one, ALG, when it opens up, hopefully. Right now it's showing 21 even. Remember, last print was 21.41. Right now it's showing 21 even as your opening price with 28,000 shares to print. Again, we've seen how accurate that is. That has not been accurate at all. So we'll just wait for that one with 20 seconds left. Neil, do you want to close this out? Oh, it's open.
What the? Did I get
surprise open?
Whoa, did I get the time wrong?
Maybe you did. But it's open now and it's working that 21 again. So here we are waiting for this market to figure out what it wants to do with ALG.
Yeah, like that was crazy. So we're gonna say it is 11 o'clock right now, and I thought for some reason that 5 minutes was 30 seconds from now on ALG. So we're gonna get this trade. We're gonna send you right over to Trader Prad and Ms. V. It is Market Movers, and this market is moving.
Already at 24.
We switch. We still on? I think we're still on.
I guess we're still on, guys.
You should be active on the chat, ask us anything, and smash the like button. How's your day going?
Good so far. Good so far.
Did you
Waiting
trade
to see.
Tesla?
No, I was watching Tesla for sure. It was insane. Absolutely insanity over there. Yeah. I'm watching ALG. ALG was being called out. I'm looking at it, 180% up to the north side. I guess it just unhalted while the transition for that show to this show was being happening. So yeah, it halted around 21, open near somewhere around here. I'm not sure why the price still says 21 over there, but I think right now we're trying to see on the way down, can we find some